Welcome to the Jersey Justice Podcast, featuring your hosts, attorneys Gerald Clark and Mark Morris.
So I have stage fright. I have no idea what to say.
Are you joking?
I don't know.
How many podcasts is this for you?
This
is a lot.
For me, 24. So you probably 26 or 27, something like that.
Is it? I don't know.
And you guys have good numbers out of the gate. I mean, it's not easy to pick up the views that you guys are getting as quick as you have. That's actually really impressive.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I appreciate that. Well, no, it's funny because we're off camera. We're talking, I always do a little digging. Jerry's anxious just to hit play.
Yeah.
But we were talking about all things. You were a power lifter like back in the 80s, 90s amongst.
I think everybody in the 80s and 90s was a weightlifter of some kind of, or whether you're a bodybuilder, power lifter, or you just worked out in your garage, because it was, vigilante movies and everybody was going to see a Schwarzenegger or, a Stallone or somebody getting revenge on an entire neighborhood. So, we were just filled with testosterone. And at the same time, weren't. There was this weird androgynous thing going on. And
the hair metal.
And somehow we all managed to get along.
I mean, the 80s were kind of cool. Like, I was younger in the 80s. That was probably more, I don't know, I'm not going to say prime, but you're a little bit older than me, I think. The 90s was really cool. Like, even the clothes in the night, like the 80s clothes are just hideous, embarrassing.
A lot of colors, a lot of patterns, a lot of things going different directions.
Yeah, like that whole Miami Vice thing. And what's the song, Seaside Tony? Remember, you ever hear that song, Seaside Tony?
No.
Oh, God, you got to listen to that song.
Is that a going down to the shore type thing?
Seaside Tony is you got to listen to that song. It's hilarious. There's like, I don't even know the name. It wasn't even a one-hit wonder. It was like half of a joke video. And it was about like, can we say Guidos, or is that?
Sure, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
No, I was.
What, are you going to offend me?
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to your.
You seen my bio?
I was listening to your comedy routine, and you do this whole thing about anti-DEI and anti-political correctness, and there's a lot to be It's funny because, like, you say you're a history buff. Did you ever read the book The Animal Farm? Remember The Animal Farm?
Of course, that was mandatory for us in high school.
Who was the author of
George
that?
Orwell.
Orwell, right? So then, like Animal Farm, you had the animals, and they were oppressed by the farmers for years, and then when the animals took over, they had a rule that no animal shall sleep in a bed. And then, so you had these, and you had the horse guy that, was the workhorse, and he was, always there, always the best guy. And no matter politics that was going on, he was like a stalwart and everyone loved him. And they would just work him to death, and then the animals took over the farm, kicked out the farmer. And then the pigs were the ones in charge. And then it was like they would then change the rules to say no animals sleep in bed except for pigs were allowed to. Yeah. And then what happened is the animals that took over became more oppressive.
They became the humans.
Became more oppressive than the farmers they kicked out. And I feel like, because I listened to your comedy routine, and there's just like pendulums, in terms of politics and power. There's pendulums, and the pendulum swings back and forth. And I feel like it got to a point where, and I know you're not affiliated, you're not registered with any party, and you've raised money for Democrats and Republicans, and you voted for Ross Perot at some point. But like, I feel like it got to a point in this country, especially right around COVID, and after the January 6th riots, or whatever you want to call the January 6th thing. That the pendulum started swinging, where this DEI started taking over. And if someone said anything about, I'm not sure about a COVID vaccine, I don't know how good that is, they would get banned, So I think like when you're talking in your comedy routines and you do, like, I don't know if you call them racial jokes, or you talk about when you grew up, and like, if when we grew up, if a kid acted stupid, they'd be like, "Hey, what are you, a Polak?" You know, like that kind of thing. And it's like it gets like taboo where you can't say that, and it's good. Like we shouldn't have racism, but at the other end, I don't think the pigs should then be sleeping in the beds and taking over the farm and themselves being oppressive. Where am I making any sense, or am I not? Because I know you talk about a lot of this stuff in your comedy routines.
So pendulums always swing. That's what pendulums do. The problem isn't with the pendulum swinging. The problem is when an artificial force comes in and moves the pendulum. So what happens is that someone says, well, there's a natural swing to a pendulum. Someone comes in, swings it further one direction or the other.
Yeah.
And that's when you get into trouble.
But also you have this concept of, terrorism. Everyone agrees terrorism is bad, right? We had 9/11, terrorism. And when we think of terrorism, we think of the guys praying to Allah as they're flying the planes into the World Trade Center.
Right. That's what.
But then
revolutionaries, why aren't they terrorists? So why wasn't George Washington a terrorist? I'm sure the English would have thought he was a terrorist.
Perspective.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then when you get an oppressive regime, call it Putin in Russia or North Korea, and anyone that stands up for truth and justice is what?
Right.
A terrorist.
Or a revolutionary, depending on which side you're on.
They call him a terrorist, though.
Well, again, who's they? It's always the perspective.
I mean, when ICE shot the nice woman in the face, before they knew anything, they called her a domestic terrorist. What the hell is that?
Okay, but again, we're lawyers in this room. And
or comedians, I don't know. Or somewhere in the middle.
But our brains are taught to work when that happens. People like the three of us in this room go, hold on, wait, I want to see all the camera angles. I want to see all the footage. And that happens in society too, outside of law. And the best example of that is Jussie Smollett. Whereas the immediate impact on people that do that knee-jerk reaction is he was lynched, he was this, he was that. Then there was a large swath of black people that were like, wait a second. This story doesn't sound right.
What was that story? This first I'm hearing.
So this is Jussie Smollett, is the guy from the TV show Empire, I think it was, on Channel 5. And he goes out at 2 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold like it is right now in Jersey, to a Subway sandwich shop. And as he's coming home, two guys in Chicago are wearing red MAGA hats at 2 in the morning and just decide I'm beating him up because he's the gay guy from the show Empire, as if they recognize him at 2 in the morning.
Is this a recent thing?
This happened about, what, five years ago?
Yeah, it was a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the immediate reaction of, I think it was Robin Roberts, Kamala Harris, everybody, this is a modern day lynching, this is that.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of credit to the guy I worked for, Trevor Noah, was like, whoa, guys, hold on a second. This story doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, hold on a second.
Yeah.
And he does a huge thing in his act where he says black people's reaction to that was, we're a little suspicious about this.
Yeah.
First of all, there's two guys in Chicago wearing MAGA hats.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What? And he's out at 2 in the morning going a Subway sandwich? This actor.
Did he actually not get beat up? Was that a whole stage thing?
It was a whole stage thing.
Okay, now
I forgot about it too until you brought it up.
Shaq made fun of it. Charles Barkley made fun of it. And a lot of the people in the black community made fun of it. Whereas, again, the immediate knee-jerk reaction was, this works for us. And I don't care which side the us is.
Right.
I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat. This works for us. We're going to capitalize on it.
See, when you have these like sort of taboo things like don't go there, don't say that,
you have to go there.
Right, exactly.
You have
like
to go there.
and then it became, like, so when I grew up, I thought of racist as the people that were spraying fire hoses on the marchers, in Alabama and sending the German shepherds on them. That's my view of racism, right? And then racism somehow became like
a catch-all for everything.
Or if you just, you're just a racist. And then that would immediately...
It becomes an ad hominem attack that you don't have to prove because the onus is on the person to disprove it. And how do you disprove something like that? It's nearly impossible. So, if someone says to me, what's racism? And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's an eye test. you know.
Yeah.
So this notion, for example, I mean, who's been called the biggest racist of all as of late? Donald Trump. You know, the fact that these people are calling this guy a racist, I'm like, well, it's easy and lazy. You know, you could go after this guy for a lot of things that you actually have proof with regards to what he's done in office, what he's done as a business owner. Instead, you're going to pick this vague thing that can't be disproven or really proven based on the fact that he's been friends with people across different spectrums based on what I think is one thing. What circle do you run in? If you ran in a wealthy circle of people that was his friends, which for the most part, throughout most of his life, because he was a Democrat, were Democrats, well, then, you know, I guess he wasn't racist. So to me, the whole racist argument is very lazy, which is why I make fun of it and talk about it on stage, because when we grew up, take, you know, the other attack. When I grew up in the 80s, we just said how androgynous it was.
Yeah.
And we used gay slurs towards each other.
Right.
But the one thing we never did is call a gay person the gay slur. In fact, we defended the gay person. So my first girlfriend, her younger brother, we knew he was gay.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't call him that.
Yeah.
We would call each other because it was just a way to spoof on each other. But when someone was part of that group, you protected them because no, that's not what this is about. That's a homophobe.
Yeah.
You know, when two straight guys call each other whatever gay slur it is, that's not homophobic.
Yeah.
We're just making fun of each other. We're just ripping on each other. When you rip on someone who's part of that community and try to belittle them because of what they are, that's homophobic. So it's a very easy eye test that's become complicated over time because, again, when you can't talk about the subject matter in a nuanced way, the immediate reaction in our society today, ad hominem attack.
Yeah, I remember when I'd go to basketball camp when I was in like grammar school, and that was really my first exposure to black people, African Americans, and I was always I was like, why are they calling each other N-word? You know, I never understood that, and they still do it. Like, how does that work? But, I
thought the coolest thing when I was a kid was when I was first called it by one of the kids at the park. Because my neighborhood, Hackensack, New Jersey, was predominantly ethnic.
Yeah.
It's funny. People talk about, I didn't meet a black person until, I didn't meet a Jewish person until I moved to Paramus, New Jersey in 1983, which is why you see some of the humor in my act, which was, I didn't really know what that was. And I do jokes about that. And again, some people will hear some of the jokes I tell, and I'll never forget, I was touring with Trevor, and we did the United Center, and someone had said, I can't believe your opening act does a Holocaust joke. And I was like, who are they talking about? And we didn't know, and we all looked around, and we were trying to figure out who it was. And a person then attacked me at the time it was still Twitter, I think, I can't believe you do a Holocaust. I'm like, I do a Holocaust joke? So I went back and I looked at my act. And the act was, I talk about how people name their pets.
Right.
Based on different names, whether you give your dog a dog name or you give it a human name. Like everyone's now giving their pets human names. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you were a kid, it was, the dog's name was Spike or something like that.
Fido.
Right,
Rover.
Exactly. Yeah. And now it's, like my dog, Lucy.
I got Ollie.
Yeah. And one of the things I talk about is how my friend Gary has a cat. And he named it. I'm like, your cat's name is useless. I'm like, your cat's name should be Anne Frank because every time I come over, it's always hiding upstairs.
Oh God!
And see, now that's not a Holocaust.
That's not a Holocaust. Yeah.
It's a reference to just, again, the cat hiding upstairs. Who hides that put it together. That's the crafting of a joke, and I'm never going to apologize for that. And this person never got the apology from me. She sure as hell didn't get it from Trevor or anyone else. And you know what happens when you don't give the apology? They go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, there's so much here, but so did you learn comedy? Did you go to school for it, or is this something that you just pick up? Like, how does it, and here's one thing I'm thinking about. Okay, Key and Peele, hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, the best one is Mr. Garvey, the school teacher.
Yes.
But the one that's really cringy and uncomfortable is when he's a stand-up comedian. and he's roasting the people in the audience, and the one dude in the audience who's
Like, do
heel-
me, like,
so severely. There's so many levels to that comedy, where he's like, do me, and the guy can't talk because he was burned and it hurts when I laugh. How did you learn that, and how do you maintain that balance between someone punching you in the face or arresting you with making them laugh?
Yeah, so I wanted to do it as a kid. I mean, as my first thought as a kid, and I mean, it must have been 6, 7 years old, was I loved TV, and I wanted to be one of those people on TV. And my parents were born and raised in Palermo, Sicily. That was something so foreign to them.
That's where you learn to dig holes or something, right?
Yeah, and well, they grew up during World War II.
Yeah.
No, one of your jokes is telling people now to dig holes.
Yeah. If I gotta hide a body, I know how to hide a body. Trust me, I can dig a hole. If I can turn over a tomato garden in a matter of a couple hours, I can dig a grave. So I wanted to do it since I was a kid, and my parents' immediate reaction was no. And there was a couple reasons why that no was there. One, it was foreign to them. Hollywood was this place so far away, not only physically, but just, in terms of what it was and who we were. So part of it was, no, that's not who and what we are. The second part of it was, I think, this protective mechanism of, whereas today parents, you could be anything you want. My parents yeah, you can't be that. There was this, whether it was realism or maybe a little bit too much. And they my mom and dad were very cunning about it too, because when you saw actors in Hollywood and the Hollywood golden age, my mom had no hesitation. She said it right to my face. You're not Hollywood good looking, so don't worry about it. As a kid, you know, and it was, a lot of people look at them like, oh my God, that's child abuse. That's this, that. No, it was their way of saying, look, this is not what you are, but you're really good at this other thing, which is you're really smart in school and you get great grades, and, focus on that, which we know you're good at, as opposed to this other thing. When the HBO specials came out in the 80s, to me, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Eddie Murphy, Delirious, that was when I knew. And then Rodney Dangerfield had the Rodney Dangerfield specials. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And even still, my parents were like, no, no, no. And it became tougher as I got older. And it manifested into a depression because I felt like this is who and what I was. And I was told, no, you're not that. And it's like, no, but I know this is what I am. I could feel it inside me. There's this thing inside me, and they kept guiding me a different direction. I wanted to enlist in the Marines. My uncle, who fought in Vietnam, told me he would shoot me in the foot if I tried because of what Vietnam did to him. So my backup plan, which isn't bad, was Fordham University. And I went there, and, my dad kind of helped pick my major. He's like, I'll pay for it or help you pay for it so long as you're an accounting major. And I went through the accounting process. And when I got to senior year, I'm like, if I become an accountant, I'm going to go to the top of the Ernst & Young building and jump off.
Yeah.
This is not who and what I am. And I never tried comedy. It was always there. And what finally broke it for me was when I put on a moot court presentation in a college class. And afterwards, the professor, long story short, said to me, if you don't go to law school, you're wasting your time. And while he saw me doing a legal presentation, that was me preparing for a role. I treated that like an acting class. And I took a year off, went to law school. First year law school, I was nowhere near law review. But then the school has this Frisell moot court competition for the entire school. I win as a 1L, get the highest grade in school history, get a job in the Attorney General's office. And these judges and attorneys are looking at me going, that was one of the most chilling performances we ever seen. And they're like, you're on the wrong side of the argument, right? I said, yeah, I didn't like what side you gave me. Like, you were convincing us we were wrong. And they saw this incredible, person that can argue. And I'm like, no, I'm acting.
Yeah.
So that was what that was for me. And I'm like, this is the vehicle. And then finally, when I got to the point I was graduating law school and I had to study for the bar, finished taking the bar exam, I was losing my mind. I went into my bedroom in an empty house, had a Sony Walkman cassette recorder, and I ranted into a tape for 60 minutes, just my thoughts and what I thought was a really satirical presentation of view of the world. A friend of mine worked at a ShopRite in Paramus, right on the Paramus-Maywood border, and it would close at 11 o'clock at night. They would stock the shelves, reopen at 6 in the morning. I brought him this tape at midnight. I'm like, hey, listen to this and let me know what you think. And he played it on his Walkman, and then they played it through the sound system for everyone to hear. He sent me a page, pager days, sent me a page at 3 in the morning. And I called him up, and he goes, we're dying laughing. You got to do this. And I didn't know how to do it. So I found an acting school in New York. And the reason I wanted this acting school.
I have a question.
Yeah.
They played the tape in the supermarket?
In the supermarket.
through
So it
the
was
intercom?
closed through the intercom system.
While they were stocking the shelves and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
During when the stores closed.
Stores
Yeah.
closed.
Got it.
They're
Okay, got
stocking
it.
the shelves, and
Got
it's
it.
just a bunch of
Guys.
blue-collar workers
Got
stocking
it.
shelves, laughing their asses off.
Got it.
So he tells me, you got to do this. So I go take this course taught by this guy in the city. I don't even want to plug his name because I'll tell you what he does to me. And it ends with a performance at Caroline's on Broadway. And I had never stepped into a comedy club in my life because I didn't want to, because the first time I was going to step into a comedy club was going to be as a comedian. So we prep for this course, and my material is, at the time, probably more edgy than anything he's doing. He's very Catskills vaudevillian type comedy, and he didn't like my jokes. He thought they were too edgy. He asked me to write out my set because he wasn't going to let me perform. So I wrote a dummy set, and I gave him the dummy set.
Yeah.
And we go, and it's a new talent
Like
show.
a more sterile
Oh,
version.
very sterile.
Got
It
it.
was none of the jokes I was going to tell.
How about this airline food?
Yeah, it was really the sterilized version. And then I had my set that I memorized. And we go there, and it's a new talent show. Could be painful to watch for anyone that's ever been to him. And he's got this MC who's a pro. He's got a closer who's a pro. And first act bombs, second act bombs, third act bombs, fourth act bomb. I go
There's
up.
people in the audience,
I'm going to say there's about 40 people in this audience on a Saturday.
and it's a comedy thing,
Oh, yeah.
not a
This is-
full talent show. It's just
this is
comedy.
Caroline's on Broadway, straight stand-up comedy.
And when it bombs, how do you know it bombs? Just people are
There's
like,
nobody
"Ugh."
laughing.
Yeah.
It's quiet. It's more quiet than this room. It's quiet.
And do people get up and leave? And
No, because so in a new talent show, what happened was everyone brings friends and family members
Yeah.
to see their first performance. Now, here's the trick with me. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing
right,
because I was already a lawyer. I had to figure out how to keep the lives separate.
yeah,
I sure as hell wasn't telling my family that told me I couldn't do this thing since I
Yeah.
was 6.
yeah,
And I had like 3 friends that I told. My friend John, who worked at the ShopRite,
yeah.
and 2 other friends that knew us. So we were a very tight-knit group of guys. That was it.
So do you get paid for that
No.
first? It's like a tryout almost.
This
like-
is for your
it,
tape.
right?
Yeah, this is your tape to bring to other clubs to maybe get booked.
Got it.
So I go up, it's not the dummy set, and I let it fly. Looking back, I mean, it was just what it was. It was a first-time amateur set.
Yeah,
For that show that day, it killed. So much so that when I got off stage, there was someone there from another comedy club. Hey, how long have you been doing this? I just started. All right, don't ever say that to anybody ever again.
yeah.
You've been doing it for a year. Come to Gotham. We're looking for new talent and people that could do what you just did.
Right.
The guy doesn't shut off my mic. The next 4 comics bomb, his headline bombs. He comes over to me, the instructor of this course, goes to put his arm around me. He goes, you're going to lead us out. I said, take your arm off of me. I said, you nearly tried to sabotage my dream. I said, I'll walk out there. I said, I'll walk off the stage and you're never going to see me again. And then I took that person.
Now he tried to sabotage your dream. How? By
he didn't
wanted
want
me
us
to,
to do
he didn't
that.
want me to do
Yeah.
the set that I did.
by the sterile version.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I'm like, yeah, you tried
And,
to.
and this guy is doing a
he
class
was, he
or
was
something.
the teacher of the class.
And why didn't he want that? Just because it was too edgy? He didn't want to like.
What he thought was stand-up comedy was what he thought was stand-up comedy.
Right.
Which again came from that old school kind of Catskills,
Yeah. Got
Jackie Mason kind of thing.
Got it.
And I was far more Sam Kennison.
it. Yeah. Take my wife, please.
Right. And I'm coming from Carlin, from Pryor, from Murphy. I'm coming from edgier comics.
You're coming from
Bill
this,
Hicks.
This is sand. You know it's going to be in 50
Yeah.
years. Sand. Get the
Exactly. So
stop sending him food.
and even a lot of the comics from his era, which was nonsense too, were very dirty.
Yeah.
They work dirty. So this notion that everyone was this, thick kind of, everyone was Rodney Dangerfield, on Johnny Carson wasn't true anyway.
Well, they called it making whoopee.
Yeah, it was one of those real.
That's how dirty they got.
Exactly. but in clubs, you had guys pushing the envelope because comedians are the people that push First Amendment further than anybody.
Yeah.
So that's how I break out on stage. And the other thing is that was the day I made up my name. So the person who was introducing me is like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Oh no, I can't use my legal name, which is Vince Sicari, Vincenzo August Sicari." So I'm like, I gotta, just in case this thing takes off, I gotta hide my last name. So I just went first name, middle name, Vince August. And that's the day Vince August was born. And then I go to Gotham. I work there. Someone says to me, "Hey, you should go see Tim Davis over at Stand Up New York." I go to Stand Up New York. He gives me an audition. And this was also the late 90s, right before comedy clubs started doing these things called bringer shows for new talent, where in order for you to get stage time, you would have to bring like 15 people to get 5 minutes. I didn't have 15 friends to tell because I was hiding it. So I got in just in time, and it just turned into something. So by the time I did my 7th show, I'll never forget, someone said to me, "Do you have 45 minutes? We want to headline you." I had that tape that I did for an hour that I just kept tweaking. And I headlined the show within my 7th show, and it kind of built. And again, I kept the two of them completely separate. Didn't tell anybody. So, was just going about my law practice, and then would go into the city whenever I could at night, and no one knew.
And you could do that in the 90s. These days, you can't do that. I mean, people, there's no privacy anymore.
I mean, I pulled it off for a long time. I mean, I pulled it off for about 8 years.
Wow.
Before anybody had any idea, including my family. I didn't tell anybody because this is the ironic twist. The way my parents were trying to protect me from the potential heartbreak of the entertainment industry, I protected that secret and that career because I wanted no one to break that.
Yeah.
So I became this helicopter parent for this career, which was good and bad because when you love something that much and you try to protect it like a helicopter parent, you don't take risks. So maybe I was a little bit conservative in my approach.
Yeah.
Just because I had to nurture that thing the way I had to. Whereas the law, I went in and my whole thing was, what are you going to do to me? You're going to get me in trouble, throw me out of the legal profession, and I have to do this? Screw it. I took all kinds of chances in court, and I'm winning cases like crazy.
Yeah.
And my success rate in law is skyrocketing to the point where after 3 years, I decided I'm going to open as a solo because there was another thing going on. I take an acting class. I start running to the city for auditions during the middle of the day. I'm telling my boss I'm going to see someone in jail. I do. And then my lunch is driving up Route 4, stopping in the mobile station across from Riverside Square, changing out of my suit into the audition clothes, running to the audition, changing back into the suit in their bathroom, going back to my office, working late hours, running to the city for a spot, go back to the office, do work, go home, and nobody knew.
There's sketchier things you could do in a gas station bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny too because the gas station guy used to see me run in there in a suit, come out in like plain clothes.
Thinks you're like Superman or
Yeah,
something.
and he's like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah.
You know.
So wait, what law stuff were you doing back then that you were winning? Like, you're at a firm or something? Like, what kind of cases?
Yeah, so I wound up starting out with this workers' comp firm, and I was doing workers' comp and personal injury stuff. And that came to a head with me and the partner, one of the partners who put me in a really bad spot. He dumped a motion with like 3 days to file it on a big file. And I had no idea what this case is about. And he basically set me up for failure because he didn't do his part of the work here. And when I submitted it, you know, the motion came back. We lost the motion on the papers. And the two partners sat me down and they were like, look, you screwed this up. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, if you put me in that situation, that's going to happen. I'm like, to be honest with you, you set me up to fail, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
If you set someone up to fail, usually they're going to fail. I'm like, but this isn't on me. This is on you. And then 2 months later, he tried to pull the same thing because he must have been late on a deadline. And he came in the office and he tried that. And I remember looking at him saying, you did this to me once. You're not doing this to me again. I said, I'm working on stuff that I'm working on. Go work on your own files, or I'm going to throw you out the window. And this is the partner of the firm. And
I've never said that to Jerry.
yeah. And what? Sure enough,
Nor would I.
I always say at the office, like, we all have our independent professional responsibility. You have a license, so there's a lot of independence there. But I don't think I've ever gone that far in terms of telling a boss to.
Yeah, because what he did to me the first time was obvious.
And not for nothing, we're only one story, so
Yeah.
I think he'd be. Yeah.
We were on the second floor. He would have lived. So the other
But
partner.
why is he trying to set you up? It doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't he just fire you instead of?
Because I think he saw what I was doing in the office was really.
He saw it as a threat.
Yeah.
I've experienced that before.
I was doing really well on a list that we had for one of the workers' comp courts that no one could tackle. And I was resolving cases really quickly.
Were you comfortable standing up in court? Like that was just like a natural to that?
Immediately, yeah. And I think that's what showed out in a lot of my work. So the other partner came in, sat with me, and was a really great guy. And I'm still friends with him to this day. And he looks at me, he's like, you can't threaten to throw my partner out. He goes,
It's right here in the handbook.
Sorry, I grew up a Sicilian family.
Yeah, and he goes, what happened? And I told him, I'm like, listen, man, this guy set me up for failure.
Yeah.
I'm like, but the fact that he keeps doing this should be more concerning to you than me.
Yeah.
Because he's your partner. So he's like, look, Vin, go on lunch. Take a break. So
how many lawyers are in this firm at the time?
Let's say about 5 or 6.
Okay.
And what I do is I print out a bunch of resumes, take my lunch. I'm on Main Street in Hackensack. I literally go like this down the block, start handing out resumes, walk into this office, hand over a resume, and one of the partners is there. And she looks at me, she goes, how do you know we're looking for a lawyer? I said, oh, God, who told me to come in and drop off a resume? I said, his name is slipping my mind. Down the block. Yeah. She says the name. She goes, yeah, that's him. Okay. She goes, come on in. Go in, and here comes this guy who looks like the character from the TV show, from the movie Up. He's got the glasses, the white hair.
Yeah.
I have no idea who this guy is. And he sits across from me, and his name is Frank Luciana. And he's one of the top criminal defense guys in the county, if not the state of New Jersey. He represented the Iceman before the Iceman decided, I'm going to give myself up and just go with the public defender. He's been trying murder cases. I mean, every type of case you can imagine. And I sit down with him, I interview him, and within 15 minutes, he offers me the job at a raise from where I was working down the block. So I go back to my office, I look at the partner, I go, you know what? You're right. I'm like, this is a bad situation. I shouldn't threaten to throw your partner out the window. And this is toxic here. It's not going to work out. We're going to make Friday my last day. And I go home, come in the next morning. What day is it? This is Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
Never forget. Come in on Thursday. They sit me down, and they offer me a raise. I go, I just threatened to throw your partner out the window and you're offering me a raise to stay here?
Was that partner in the room when you got offered the raise? Was he sitting
Yes.
there? Okay.
And I'm like, this is really insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, tomorrow's my last day.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, I go down the block and this guy, Frank Luciana is the firm. First day there, hands me a Redwell
Yeah.
with a file that says, you're going to do an arraignment.
For the non-lawyer, we have 5 people that listen to the show. For
Yeah.
the 2 non-lawyers that listen to it, a Redwell's a big ass
Big, thick
File,
file.
basically.
file
Yeah.
folder
With
of a
legal
case
document,
file.
yeah.
Yeah, it's thick. This is
Yeah.
not a folder. This is thick.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're going to handle this arraignment. Now, I've done no criminal defense work at this point. I've done workers' comp and PI. And I
Well,
look,
arraignment, don't you just say not guilty and then you're out of there?
sounds easy now because we've been doing this stuff for a while.
I don't do criminal. That's all.
Right. So I look at him and I go, I don't know anything about this file. And he looks at me and goes, young man, are you a lawyer or not? He goes, now get the hell out of here and go down to the court and go do this arraignment. So I go down.
You didn't plead guilty, did you, at the arraignment?
No.
Okay, good.
No. I walk in there and I'm reading the file as I'm walking down Main Street. I have a 2-block walk to get myself acquainted with this file. I'm sweating. And I'm going through this stuff and I'm looking and I'm like, all right, Judge Conti. And I go to the courthouse and I walk through the metal detector, look at the sheriff's office, and I go, where's Judge Conti's chambers? He goes, which one? I go, I'm sorry, what? He goes, yeah, we got 2. So I look at him, and he must see the fear in my eyes. He goes, is it a criminal case? I said, yeah. He goes, you're going up to 4, don't be late. He's going to tear into you if you're late. So I run upstairs, yell out my client's name, meet him, and I'm sitting in this courtroom, and I'm sweating through my shirt. And I'm looking around the courtroom, and I see this attorney. And he's got his hair slicked back. He's got the glasses, the cufflinks. He's got bracelets on, gold watch. I'm like, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing. So I walk up to him. I go, hey, listen, this is my first day doing this. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. He goes, who do you work for, kid? So I go, I work for Luciana. He goes, oh, Frank? He goes, oh, man, welcome to the club. He goes, all right, let me see what you got. So he looks at my paperwork, goes, you have pretty much the same thing I got. He goes, I'm going to wind up going first because they know me here, whatever. They're going to take me first. He goes, pretty much say whatever I say. He goes, and you'll get through this. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. I have no idea who this guy is, but I have a pretty good idea that he looks like he knows what he's doing. So as he's up there, I'm taking shorthand on everything he's saying. I go up after like 4 attorneys now. I've seen 4 different people do it. And other than say my name where they were saying their name, I say the same exact thing. The judge looks at me and he goes, you work for Luciana? I said, yeah. He goes, welcome to the club. Because again, this is when you're
The
part of the
judge
criminal
says
bar.
club on the bench like that? Wow.
Because it's the criminal bar.
Yeah.
You're now part of this group.
And you're in Hackensack or Bergen?
And this is Hackensack.
So
This is
you're
Bergen
in
County.
Bergen, sorry.
Yeah.
Not Hackensack or Bergen. Hackensack is in Bergen.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And I turn around and there's this attorney. He looks at me, winks at me, gives me a thumbs up. And that attorney is Bob Galantucci, who was a big-time criminal defense guy who's since passed away. And whenever I needed to ask a question, the interesting thing is I would never ask my boss. I would call Bob Galantucci. I would talk to different criminal defense attorneys, and they knew my boss, Frank Luciana, was a trial by fire kind of guy. So first day, you're in the soup. And because of that, he immediately gave you cases. So I'm in municipal court, trying cases in municipal court. I'm in criminal court, and they see the way I'm handling my workload. His daughter, who's a partner, Diane Luciana, starts giving me civil cases. She gives me a trial within 6 months of me being with the firm. And, you learn right away.
So you've done a lot of jury trials in front of juries?
My best jury trial experience was the first trial I ever had.
Wow.
Which is, she's prepping me on a Sunday at her house in Saddle River. We go over everything. She's quizzing me. I know my file. I know the doctors. I know the notes. I know the facts. I've got the crosswalk, everything memorized. Go in there, and it's the other Judge Conti, ironically enough. And he goes, all right. He goes, let's bring in the jury pool and pick a jury. And I'm like, we didn't go over how to pick a jury. So I sit there and
I'll take that one, that one, that one, and that one.
so you've got to improvise. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like quick, man. Think of something. So I lean over to the defense
Why don't you
counsel.
just whip out your phone and go to Google and say how to pick a jury?
This is 1999. There was no Google back then.
Oh, shit. What do we do?
So I look at my adversary and I go, I'll tell you what, I don't care who you pick everybody. And I sit back in my chair just like this. And my adversary looks at me and goes, what? I said, I have no one to pick, not pick. You pick everybody. I'll sit back. You pick whoever you want. And he just looks at me and goes, what kind of game you playing? I said, I'm not playing the game. I said, pick whoever you want. And he looks at his file and he goes, now, before we went there, we had a 30 demand, and Diana told me 45 is a home run.
Yeah.
So he looks at me and he goes, what's your demand on this thing? I said, I can't walk out of here with less than 60. And, because I'm thinking, what's in the middle?
You're so street.
Yeah.
You sound that's very street.
I'm like, what's in the middle of, how do I get to 45?
Okay, all right.
So I'm like, I can't walk out of here with less than 60. So he looks at Judge Conte, he goes, Judge, give me 5 minutes. Walks out to the hall. My client looks at me, goes, what's going on? I said, hold your breath. So he has no idea. I don't know how to pick a jury. So attorney comes in, come on over. I walk over. He goes, no games. You're taking the 60. I said, if you have 60, I said, I'll twist his arm. I'll take it.
Yeah.
He goes, I got 60. So I said, all right, let me talk to him. I said, this is not going to be an easy get. So I go in and talk to the client. I said, come out in the hall. I said, I want you to be no emotion, straight face. And he knew 45 was the number. And we go out in the hall. I said, I got you 45. So he goes, I said, do you want it? He goes, yeah. He goes, 45 is a great number. I said, okay, good. Because that real number's 60. I said, but don't say anything. So he just looks at me and goes, what? And he like looks confused. I said, that's the look I need. Stay with that. So we go and I said, he'll take it. I said, let's get out of here. I said, before he changes his mind. We go in, we settle the case. I go back to the office.
Yeah.
Diane looks at me. She goes, what happened? I said, well, you told me to get 45. She goes, yeah. I said, I got that. She goes, that's amazing. I said, yeah, and I got 15 more too. And she goes, what happened? I told her the story. She goes, what do you mean you don't have to pick a jury? I said, when did I ever pick a jury before? And that was the first time I didn't pick a jury.
So did you have any insecure partners then point their guns at you and get paranoid that you were going to somehow overtake them after you did that?
No, because that office was built on wanting you to succeed.
Yeah, yeah.
Frank Luciana.
Not cut down people so
No. Frank Luciana loved seeing his associates rise.
Yeah,
And he took great pride in saying, he used to work for me.
yeah.
She used to work for me. He used to work for me. And they were all who became a municipal court judge. Kevin Rowe, big-time defense attorney. He loved seeing that. He's like what a dad should be.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want you to be better than me.
Yeah.
So it was great. And in fact, now I'm running around doing these auditions and the stress of doing all this is getting to me. When I went to him and said, I got to go on my own, he didn't know why. And he looked at me and he said, young man, he goes, you're going to be a great, great attorney. He goes, you're just not ready yet.
Yeah.
He goes, you know PI, you know workers' comp, you know criminal. He goes, but you're 30 years old. You're not ready for this yet.
Yeah.
You'll stay here another couple of years, not because I'm trying to keep you down.
Yeah.
You're going to get better at this. He goes, I'm going to give you more trial work. And I said, I can't tell you why now, but trust me, this is going to make sense, hopefully someday. And that's what happened.
Listen, being a lawyer, I always view it as, in a way, we're soldiers because we're really fighting other people's battles, and we're fighting battles on paper, but there's often a lot of people's lives are at stake, their economic lives, and it can get very stressful. Certainly, we don't have the kind of PTSD actual warriors get, but did you find going to the city and doing your shows as something of like a release?
No, I was working so much.
That wasn't like a nice release from being a lawyer?
No.
It sounds like that was something you were really driven to be successful at too. So probably almost even more pressure.
Stressful.
Doing
Yeah,
that.
because
Really?
the one thing I tell people is when you're not famous and you're just starting out, you can't have a bad set. I can't, to this day, I'm not, a household name enough where I can have an off day on stage, because
You mean you can't afford to have one?
yeah, you lose your job. You're not going to get booked again. I don't care, even if you're a talking head, if I get invited on a talk show, I've got to kill it when I show up, because I don't have enough of a following. Look, if I had 5 million followers on YouTube and I'm generating clicks and YouTube is sending me a check every week, fine. I mean, it's the blessing and the curse, fame, because I used to work with Daryl Hammond on a regular basis at Caroline's on Broadway, and he would show up at the club, and as soon as he walked on stage, everybody in the audience immediately sat up. Oh my God, there's a celebrity here. And you do get a higher pitched, louder laugh just because the anticipation. And I saw that with all the big time comics that would come in and do a guest spot. Everyone's energy lifted. They immediately sat up because, oh my God, he's funny, she's funny, regardless of what you're going to do or say that night. Yeah. So you already come on stage with a certain credibility. You can have an off night and they're still going to clap and laugh, which is bad for you as a comedian, because you can't gauge what's working, what's not working.
It makes you almost lazy in a way.
Right. Whereas when I go on stage, trust me, I know when my jokes work or don't work.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows who the hell I am. Now, have I built what I would call a following? Yeah. But that I have fans and people that are going to follow me all over like a Sebastian Maniscalco, nowhere near it. Nowhere near. So I can't afford to have a bad night. So, and in the beginning, you really can't afford to have a bad night.
I'm a big college basketball fan, and like if I go to a game on a Wednesday night, the crowd's kind of like, ugh, it's hard to get them. But then if you go on like a Saturday, like
there's less pressure.
Well, and people are more up. Are there days like where comedy, it's like, never do comedy on a Tuesday night or something? Like, is that a thing?
So this became a big thing for me when I eventually became a comic at Caroline's on Broadway around 2009. I was closing the new talent shows. So those new talent shows we were talking about that I did 10 years prior. I was the headline closing act, whatever you want to call it. These shows are always on a Monday night. And whenever a comic would go on stage and say, this crowd is off tonight, this crowd is this, it bothered me. Because there's one thing that I tell people is, if someone left their job on a Monday, drove to the city, took a subway, took a bus, walked whatever, and paid money to come to a room to laugh, if they didn't laugh, take it personal. That's on you.
So this
the fact they're in the building now becomes they're your responsibility now. So I don't like that notion of, that it's an off crowd. Now, are certain audiences tougher than others because of the climate maybe in the country or whatever? I guess, but I don't care. That's your job. They're there for a reason, and the reason is to laugh.
So this is weird, though. This is like a weird psychology thing. Like how, like when I'm doing my job, I'm super serious. People tell me you got to smile more. You know what I mean? I have like they call it resting dick face. But I'm not really. That's not really my. I don't really feel that way. But when I'm working and I'm like, super into it. So how? That's a crazy psychology to me. Like, how can you be working on stage and feel like it's my job to make them laugh, but at the same time being relaxed enough to tell jokes and have a smile on your face? Like how, like if stuff doesn't go right for me at work, like I'm probably not smiling. So how are you keeping a smile on, keeping this kind of jolly thing when you're working hard? Is it almost like a sociopathic like act that you're doing?
No, you just like you, for me it's an easy answer.
I love it. Like if you get heckled, do you ever like smile and laugh and tell a joke, but really you're half of your personality saying, what a douche, this
never.
guy.
Oh, I'm the worst. You never want to heckle me. I'm not the right guy to heckle. I wound up in the movie Heckler because somebody heckled me and they got destroyed, and I happened to have cameras rolling. That's another thing I do. I immediately go on stage. I've never other than when I'm taping something. I shouldn't say never. Other than when I'm taping something, I'll never go on stage and push play on a set. I immediately acknowledge a live audience. I immediately do
When you say-
crowd interaction.
All right, so you have to be malleable and roll with it. And
You have
kind
to
of like,
because you have to know who's in front of you.
Yeah.
So I won't do the same set in front of, like when I open for Trevor, I know who his crowd is. I know what their leanings are. So I have to learn how to take my material and make it malleable, like you said, to their thought process. But the trick is being able to do that same material for a crowd that might go see someone more conservative, or a group of people that's older, or an all black audience, or an all Spanish audience. You have to know, and you don't know that if you just walk on stage, push play, and this is my set, this is what you get. No.
you might not connect.
I always talk to my audience. I always do some improv. I want to know who's here, what, get a feel for what
Do you know
everyone's
that
energy.
before you go on who the audience is going to be and plan accordingly, or do you just
I'll
kind of
show up.
wing it?
I'll show up early enough. So a lot of comics will watch the comics on stage. I'll never watch a comedian. I
Right.
don't watch comedy specials. I don't want to be influenced by what seems to be the type of jokes are being told or where comedy.
The trends.
I want to stay true to who I am and what my feel is on comedy. What I do is I look at the audience. So I'll stand on the side of the crowd, never really look at the stage, and I want to see the audience. All right, so we have some older people here. We have a mix of younger people. I'm seeing a lot of gray hair, or I'm seeing a lot of young people. I'm seeing a lot of ski hats. You kind of get, it's like reading a jury.
Yeah.
It's like reading a
So
jury.
are you just like when we do closing arguments to juries, like I don't have a script. We'll have, I'll do a PowerPoint with pages and then I'll talk. One thing I've learned like from doing this podcast is it really helps you to talk. Like I have no notes and it helps you to
Converse.
like after doing this podcast, Mark, I remember I told you this, like I was at a trial and, we have these books and all the stuff you're supposed to say. And the plaintiff is going to come on now. We're going to do the testimony of your client, right? And you got all your notes and stuff and all this. And I got to ask this, that, and the other thing. What I've learned is, and I did this I threw away my notes and I stood up there. I had a conversation with my client. And I've learned that from kind of doing this podcast, just how to talk to people. I don't know, Mark, I feel like I'm talking too much.
No.
Give some thoughts here.
I mean, Vince, you've had a ton to say, so I'm trying not to jump in.
No,
and cut off.
by all means.
But I agree with that 100%. It's when you step back and you realize, like in comedy as a trial lawyer, that you have an audience and they're just normal people and it's just a conversation. I think at least on our end as attorneys, and obviously you're an attorney as well, I think sometimes juries have such a suspicion of you that you're this attorney and what's your angle? What are you trying to do? And if you just are like, look, like this is a simple case or this is a simple thing, they almost appreciate that.
See, I've learned that too. Like you said,
Yeah.
you went into court and you were attracted to the dude with the gaudy jewelry and the slick hair
Yeah.
and the glasses and all this. Like I would never walk into court like that. A, it's just not me. I'm not into gaudy jewelry. But B, like I think if you walk in front of a jury, like we do, a lot of contingency work and stuff. And like Mark said, they look at us with a little suspicion, like, is this a money-hungry trial lawyer trying to get money, because some people have that, maybe more so at the McDonald's coffee thing, but that's kind of gone away. That's a 90s thing, and I think we have a different jury pool now. But if you walk in there with the jewelry and the suit and the whole thing, you almost show the stereotypical thing of like a money-hungry trial lawyer. So I don't dress like that when I go to court, just because it's not me. I'm not a money-hungry trial lawyer. I'm really there because I think we're like sort of the last bastion in a justice culture war where money rules the day, and I'm trying to get justice for our people. But it's just more comfortable too. I don't even wear suits to trials a lot, just because it's like cotton's more comfortable than wool.
But that's also arraignment day. There's no jury, and it's just all the lawyers.
Yeah.
And it's, Who's swinging a bigger one, guys?
When you were talking about it,
A
it's
bigger stick?
yeah.
So, but no, but in front. Listen,
Or does it rhyme with stick? All right,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
But
Keep going.
it doesn't just apply to law, comedy. It applies to politics. It applies to life. I mean, why do people talk about Reagan and Obama as these great presidents? I mean, was it because of what they did or the way they said?
I
what they did?
view elections as like a year-long trial, and your jury is the voters. It's so similar, so similar.
I mean, why do people love Trump? He talks to the common man.
Who loves Trump?
You know,
Who are you talking about?
It's at least 78 million people. I don't know.
Listen. I listened to one of your routines on YouTube, and we talked about this a little bit earlier about, what is reality anymore, and, AI driven everything. By the way, you describing your talent as a comedian and explaining that tells me why AI will never take over comedy, at least not stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Because there's timing and there's personality and there's reading a room, different things that AI can't do, and hopefully in the future we'll never be able to do, but who knows?
Human connection.
Yeah, the human connection. But one thing so we have clickbait, right?
Yeah.
Where you have the picture and the rage bait, really.
Yeah.
And rage bait,
Scrolling.
there's so much rage bait out there.
Yeah.
And I definitely, I'm like not a Trump fan, and I don't know if it's rage bait or whatnot. But I have to say, listening to your routine was probably the best explanation of the Trump phenomenon, and actually helped to calm me down a lot, because I get very like I think if someone says we're thinking about canceling the midterm elections, like for me that's just disqualifying. I don't care if you're joking, if you're not, but if you are the president and you say we're thinking about canceling the midterm election, for me that's disqualifying. Because I love this country and I love our democracy and the whole thing. And I'm watching The American Revolution on PBS right now. Awesome series. And I think anyone that even jokes about canceling an election, which to me is taking away our democracy and replacing it with a oligarchy or a dictatorship or whatever the heck it is, for me it's just disqualifying. But you give an excellent explanation for that. So, we're going to cancel the elections. We're going to invade Greenland. We're going to invade Canada. You get
tariffs on our allies.
And that shit enrages me, because I care. But you really enlighten me with your routine. If you can tell me how I should really be viewing that,
Well, first of all, the one thing I've always felt is comedy should be universal. I don't think you should come at comedy with a bias in terms of, I'm not going to make fun of this. If there's just topics or people or whatever that you're going to put in a safe bubble to not attack, that's a choice. I like to look at the entire world and say, let's see what's going on today, and then just something will trigger in this brain that goes this direction to say, oh, I find this funny, and I don't care if it's right, left, center, or whatever. And one of the things I've noticed with him is you have to know who and what he is. You can't lose sight of who and what this guy is, okay? He's a construction guy from Queens who's from New York who just says things. And does he know what he's talking about? No. But if you throw enough stuff out there, it creates such a mess in the algorithm. It creates such a mess that you're going to react to everything.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to focus on important things.
Yeah.
And he creates a controlled chaos for himself. And your brain is constantly like this. And it's like, everybody, stop listening to what he says.
Yeah. Okay.
And just focus on what he does.
I think he is an absolute master of capturing attention and having attention.
He's a narcissist. He's a complete narcissist.
I read a book years ago. It talked about like the rise of the anti-hero, where you see like, you're rooting for Tony Soprano. You're like, this is a bad guy. He's doing horrible things, but you're like, I want to see him keep going. Like Walter White in Breaking Bad. You're like, this guy's making meth. He's killing people, but you're like, go Walter White. And it's almost like that age gave rise to Trump, where you're like, this is like objectively, he's doing bad stuff, but you're like,
But
I can't look
who's-
away.
But who's not a narcissist?
Yeah.
When you're in that position of power, and again, I'll go across the board: Biden, Harris, Elon Musk, Gates, Bezos. They're all narcissists.
Well, what do you mean by narcissist? I view narcissist as someone that looks in the mirror and is always fixing their hair or something.
No, to me, a narcissist is someone who thinks they know everything, they can be in control of everything, and everybody's going to do what they want. Now, the reason why he is the way he is very simple. The companies he's run have always been called Trump Enterprises, Trump Inc., and he's surrounded by his children that sit there and say, yes, Dad. You want to get on that good side of Donald Trump, all you got to say is, yeah, Donald. Yes, Donald.
It's
yes,
so
Donald.
weird, though.
It's all you got to do with this guy.
Like the Pete Hegseth, by the way. Comedy Central's got great stuff on Pete Hegseth. What the heck?
Transportation.
No, what's the Comedy Central show? South Park.
Yeah.
South Park's got hilarious stuff on Pete Hegseth. But like,
Christy Noem stuff kills me.
yeah. Oh, that too. I mean, there's just so much. But they'll be standing there and giving like a policy speech, and they basically have to kiss his ass, and like,
Yes.
and it's almost like the dude on the dude with the white suit in The Godfather, when he's walking down and he's like,
You got to kiss his ass.
you know, like, and like, do you remember the Ross Perot skit on
Is that Dana Carvey?
SNL.
Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live, where he's like, yes, and bark for me and get down, and they're actually doing it like for Ross Perot. But that's what these guys are doing.
Yes.
Like, I see the Secretary of State, all because of Donald Trump, and he just sits there like, and he's like taking it in, and you actually have to do that and lower yourself to. It's just crazy to me.
But where doesn't
it's
this
so
happen?
embarrassing.
But where doesn't this happen? You want to make it in Hollywood? Look at what we had in Hollywood.
Yeah, but Christianity and Catholicism is about humility. It's about
And what the hell does that have to do with politics and work?
the dude was holding up a Bible. I mean, the dude. You know, there's like
It's a prop for
he's
him.
like he gets
It's
his
a prop for them.
he gets his thugs to put the like tear gas for people that are protesting against something in Washington, and then he stands up in front of the church holding a Bible. Like, people believe that because Christianity is about humility, and the first shall be the last, and the last shall be first, and the least among us will be like that's Christianity. Christianity is not tear gas and Bibles and like. Do we need education? Maybe we need more education in the country.
Look, to me, the last great president we had in this country as a history buff got shot in Dallas. Ever since then, you tell me the president that hasn't followed a playbook of lining someone's pocket, and we'll have that discussion, because for everyone that is all you have to do right now to get in the good graces of our society, and this is a really scary inflection point,
is do
if
a
all you
good
have to
15-second TikTok.
No, if all you have to do is say, this guy's a lunatic,
Yeah.
and all sins are forgiven, this is what we've become as a nation, because Liz Cheney, who was part of the Bush administration,
Yeah.
whose father's a war criminal, all she had to do was sit on a January 6th committee, and all was forgiven with the Cheney family. I'm sorry, no.
Why is her father a war criminal?
For everything that happened in Iraq, the weapons of mass destruction, that
Okay,
entire
that whole
war.
thing. Yeah.
That entire war.
Yeah.
Bush and everyone that was involved with that.
Yeah, remember Colin
Should
Powell
be
holding
tried-
up the
yes.
pictures of the trucks with the chemical
Right.
weapons coming out of it?
Those
which
are
was
war
total
crimes.
bullshit. Yeah.
Those are war crimes. And they get unscathed because now George Bush paints nice pictures. He's friends with Michelle Obama, and he doesn't like Trump. And to me, it's
But why doesn't Bush ever say anything?
he does. He's come out and said he doesn't like Trump.
Okay, well, he said he doesn't like Trump.
Who
Big
did he-
shocker.
didn't he
But
endorsed, I think, Biden or Harris, if not both.
I've never heard him give him a speech against the most.
he's not
I
gonna
saw-
give a speech.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You don't
I mean,
want him to give a
He lifts
speech.
weights and he's a tough guy. But why does he like the most I've ever seen Bush do in terms of standing up to Trump? This is the second Bush was stand after January 6th while someone else spoke about January 6th being bad. That's all he did.
Yeah.
I've never seen him say anything.
And then when he gets inaugurated, they all show up for the inauguration. Because in the end, they're all politicians.
But listen,
and they're all full of crap.
But you talk about comedy and timing and routine and roasting. I mean, Trump in the primary debate, his first time around, was like a masterful comedy routine. The way he's like, yeah, okay, tough guy.
This guy's his wife's a dog.
He gave everybody nicknames, which is brilliant, by the way.
But Jeb Bush,
he destroyed the Bush family.
Jeb Bush is looking like a spoiled kid who just got punched in the face and doesn't have his daddy to bail him out. That was hilarious. I mean, I have to say.
And again, I say to people that dislike Donald Trump, you know what? There are certain things you should be grateful for. He got rid of the Bush family from politics forever.
But I thought the dad Bush was amazing. I thought that guy was great. There are statesmen. There are statesmen. Like you look at Ronald Reagan. Go on. Look at YouTube videos from C-SPAN.
Forget about statesmen.
All right, but it
I want to put personality aside because I don't care about personality. When I look at politicians,
they were respectful people. They didn't call people like the shit. Like when we grew up, if you called someone names in the schoolyard, your parents would like, "What the hell are you doing?" This guy, he's a president. He calls people names. I guess. So the other guys were like statesmen.
If I show you a gangster who's unbelievably respectful to his wife, kids, and everyone else.
That's almost worse.
And he's murdering people left and right.
That's true.
If I introduce you to Sammy Gravano today, the guy who served his time, who's doing a podcast, and you sit down and you're like, this guy's not that bad.
Yeah. Have you seen that? Have you seen that kind of sociopath doing criminal defense work?
Absolutely. And that's why I tell people.
Can you spot it?
Yes.
See, I'm very naive.
No, and I tell people, you've got to stop listening to people's words and judge them by their actions. I don't care how smooth talking Barack Obama was. Okay, he came into office. He was going to codify Roe versus Wade. He had 9 months to do it. The day he got in, that's not a priority. He could have put that issue to bed. Why didn't he do it? Because it's a fundraising issue, and he put it on the back burner.
At least he got the health care pass, though.
And who's making
that took a lot of bullets.
And who's making the money for that today with all the subsidies? The insurance companies.
Okay. Yeah.
Look at what happened in Syria. Again, that's weapons of mass destruction for me. Assad gassed his own people. No, he didn't. Okay. We have Max Blumenthal wrote about it. We have Glenn Greenwald wrote about it. We have all of these amazing reporters that wrote about it.
Yeah.
We have the WikiLeaks guy hiding out forever. All of these people exposed the lie. They go into hiding, and he stands there and goes, look, everyone, we got to do what we got to do. Crimea gets taken over during his administration. Nobody blinks an eye. I don't care how well you speak. I want to judge you by your actions.
Or lack of actions.
Right. I don't care what Trump says. What I look at is what he does. Does he do good things?
Well, he's sending.
Yes.
He's
does
sending
he do
ICE
crazy shit?
He's sending.
Of course he does.
He's sending ICE people into Minnesota to tear up anyone that looks dark or Hispanic. I mean, that's terrible. That's fucking.
Is ICE handling this the right way? No. Did ICE do this under Obama? Obviously,
No.
a lot more. Obviously, a lot more.
Really? All right.
If 5 million people, was it 3 million, 5 million people got deported during the Obama administration, and we're only at 300,000 now, and CNN was doing ride-alongs with ICE, Jerry, all I want is one thing, and I do this when I go to every baseball game. I want the strike zone to be the same for everybody. Again, I'm not partisan. I don't care what letter is in front of your name. In fact, I say get rid of the political parties. Abandon it. When I go into a voting booth, these are the top 10 things I want to get done. And if you don't see the R or the D and you don't know what column is what, I guarantee you, most people in this country, a vast majority of people in this country, I'm going to say 80% of the people in this country want the same thing. I want to wake up in the morning. I want to feel safe going to work. I want to have my job. I want to be able to provide for my family.
And I don't want all these.
health
I
insurance.
don't want these dark
And
people hanging out at Home Depot taking our jobs.
Not at all. No one's going to say that. No, everybody wants
I don't
to
know.
go home.
ICE seems to think that they're circling around Mexican, some nice families Mexican
You're barking up the wrong
grocery
tree.
store in Minnesota.
You're barking up the wrong tree with me.
It's fucking crazy.
My
I
first
have
language,
I have
my
clients.
first language wasn't English.
I have clients that can't leave their house.
Yes.
And that are paranoid and won't even take my call because they think I'm ICE. It's insane.
You're barking up the wrong tree with me. My parents were immigrants. They came here. My first language.
Don't say they came here legally, and these people need to come here legally because the law was very different back then.
Not at all.
It was a welcoming country.
Not at all. But the same speech that Trump gave about immigration, I can find you.
Is this one where he said they're all rapists and murderers? Or
I
was
can
it a
find you
different
one from Bill Clinton in the mid-'90s.
Oh, yeah, that's true. True.
That's
100%.
word for word. I can
100%.
find you Joe Biden talking about the Criminal Reform Act in ways that will make your skin crawl.
Yeah, well, that's a yeah.
And this is the point. They say whatever they have to say to get elected. Is ICE handling the situation right?
Trump doesn't seem like
Absolutely
he
not.
says what he needs to say to get elected. Sometimes it seems like he says
Sure
the
he does.
opposite, but he gets
It's
elected
just-
anyway.
Sure he does. He knows who he's talking to.
When was the last time you watched like a full Trump speech? Like, have you seen anything other than just like a few?
So I listened to his speech at Davos.
I did the same thing.
And I said, okay, yeah, and I'm trying to follow your type of advice,
Right.
which is do the objective. And then he starts going, and the election was rigged,
I-
and everyone
Always.
knows it's rigged.
Always.
So then I just said, I can't fucking listen to this. I said,
Always.
once he goes down this bullshit Orwellian 1984,
That's the narcissist.
brainwash the fucking electorate, I just have to shut it
That's
off.
the narcissist.
I got to the same point. He was calling Europeans dummies for buying wind turbines. He's like trying to make them. They sell them. They're
that's
dummies.
well,
they're
listen,
dumb.
no,
That's
I
a
didn't
policy
shut
thing.
it off at that one.
No, me neither. I got through that.
And then to get a job with Trump, you have to say yes, King Trump. The
Yes,
election
you
was
gotta kiss his
rigged.
ass.
Yeah, the election was rigged. It's crazy.
You gotta
Like
kiss his ass.
I don't live in like an Orwellian world
If
where we
you
lie to the
kiss
people.
his ass, he likes you.
But what happened to Giuliani? How
He
about
got
did you
sued into
see? Did you
oblivion.
see the thing with Giuliani?
But
where
that was another guy. Hold
He's
on,
like,
let me
he-
cut
he
you off for a
melted.
second. That was another guy that during 9/11, he got credit for going to funerals. And I say to people, what did listen, did he clean up the streets of New York? Did he turn 42nd Street into Disneyland?
got rid of the
Yes.
squeegee people.
What he did during when he was, what was it? Not Attorney General. What the hell was he in the city? When he was the prosecutor for New York City, what he did to the major crime families was amazing.
Yeah.
The pizza connection that he got rid of was amazing. Once again, 9/11 comes along and he's going to funerals. I'm like, okay, he's going to funerals. What else is he doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, people start looking at the things he's saying and they lose sight of what he's doing.
Right.
Because again, look at him. He's going to down to ground zero. He's talking to firemen. He's talking to cops. And I'm like, well, fucking yeah. Well, who shouldn't be doing that?
Right.
I'm like, this is what we're going to give people credit for? We're going to give Barack Obama credit for gay marriage because he turned on rainbow lights on the White House? Barack Obama had nothing to do with gay marriage. The Supreme Court did that.
Well, the New Jersey Supreme Court, Barry Albin started that.
Okay.
He was on our podcast. He's the one
Right.
that started that.
But this is what I'm trying to tell everyone is, look, don't judge people by what their words are and what their, I mean, come on. Hillary Clinton, marriage is between a man and a woman. Barack Obama, marriage is between a man and a woman. Supreme Court president, everyone's turning on rainbow lights. I'm like, come on, people, stop. You have to look at who's actually getting things done. And again, on a Jersey Justice podcast, you have to be honest. Look at me across the table and tell me right now, we don't have two branches of government, executive and judicial. He passes all of his executive orders, and then they take him to court and fight him on it. And the Supreme Court basically determines what the laws are in this country. What is Congress passing other than COVID bills and other than all of these packages that fill the pocket of their donors? Where is the immigration reform after how many years? Where is healthcare reform? And I blame the Republicans for this. They had no idea Trump was going to win in 2016. They predicted he was going to lose. And when he won, they had 4 years to get a healthcare package. They did nothing. They had a feeling they were going to win this time around. You should have prepped for it. And what have you done? Nothing.
With the auto pen president.
So to me, right now we're living president to president, executive order to executive order, and then take everyone to
Supreme
court.
Yeah.
We have two branches of government right now.
We really do in
Executive,
a lot of
judicial.
ways.
Yeah.
We really do in a lot of ways. Yeah.
What do we have here in New Jersey? We have a state that's bluer than Cookie Monster's balls.
Yeah.
And yet, nonetheless, how do we rule in this state?
Did Cookie Monster have balls?
Executive
I
order.
never saw
Just
those.
a hand down there.
Everything is executive order. When are the people that are elected going to actually go in and do work? They don't.
Yeah.
You know what their job is?
To get elected, to raise money
Help
and
me get my
elected.
passport.
Yeah, it's weird because it's a constant campaign,
That's all it is.
and they spend more time fundraising than actually doing stuff.
All it
That's a
is.
problem in Congress. Yeah,
All it is.
especially Congress.
All it is.
But it seems that Republicans have given up on trying to pass legislation because
Everybody
they have
has.
well, they have a slim majority in the Senate, so they're just going with the executive orders and say, "Screw it, just send in ICE." They'll
And
take
there
care
are
of
enough Republicans in there with a conscience
it. Yeah,
that
There's
are
a few.
saying, I can't do all of this.
I agree with you too on let's look objectively at what they're doing. So when Trump went into Venezuela, of course it was like, oh my God, we're invading a sovereign country. We took this guy out, blah, blah,
'Cause
blah.
we've never done that before.
Well, exactly. And I was thining, I remember when Bush did
Are you
it
kidding
in
me?
Panama.
We do it all the time.
Oh,
I remember when Bush did it in Panama, it was great. And then they had pictures of Hitler that they put in the dude. Do you remember the dude that they took out of Panama? What the hell was his name?
Panama.
Marcos? Imelda Marcos was the wife.
That was the Philippines, wasn't it?
Philippines
Marcos
was
the
Mar-
Philippines.
Yeah, but they took the dude out, and I think he's still in a jail for the same thing, drugs. They said it was drugs. So they went in and invaded Panama, and then they put in pictures of Hitler just to sort of back justify, see that, and this guy was bad. And then when Trump did it, it was like, at least I guess in some circles, it was like the worst thing ever, and there's this dictatorship, and now he's going to invade Cuba. And so, wait, is he going to invade Greenland or what? Because you talked about that in your comedies.
Not invading.
That too is the funniest. I
Not
forget
invading
what the
Greenland. No.
expression was, but it's like the Trump two-step or
Yes.
so, where he's like, "We're
No.
going into Greenland," and then he's like, "Oh, we have a deal in the works for something in the future."
We had
No.
the format of a deal.
Yeah.
He would actually, I tell people
Framework.
Framework.
Yeah, yeah.
He would be the perfect weatherman. And when people say to me,
18 to 20 inches. Oh, 6 to 13.
snow a little. It might
Yeah.
snow a lot. I haven't really decided.
It's
I'll
gonna
let
be
you know.
huge, but it could be very tiny.
It could be huge. It might not be so
The
huge.
dude
I
on
haven't
Saturday
decided.
Night Live nails him. I forget his
Shane
name.
Gillis does a
Shane-
really good.
Shane Gillis
Not to
does
plug
a good
another
one.
comedian.
Yeah.
No, the guy
Apologies,
on
but-
Saturday Night Live that does.
Yeah.
Oh, who's
he-
I hate to say he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
he
know
got
exactly what
hired
you're talking
because
about.
of his
Yeah.
Trump impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, since Baldwin. Yeah. But listen, again,
All right, so you make me feel better about Trump. Not.
I don't want to make you feel better about Trump.
You.
I want you to feel.
You're at least deflating my stress about it.
I want you to feel better about the world.
Because I just want my kids and my grandkids to have a democracy when I'm not here anymore.
Let's put it this way.
And I don't want it to be the United States of Trump or
Okay.
something.
So
you know?
I'm going to put your mind at ease.
Yeah.
We don't have a democracy.
Okay.
All right, so get that. Once you accept that, once you realize,
Yeah,
we have the Republic.
but listen, like in the Gladiator, Rome was an idea. America and democracy and the Constitution, it's a living thing. It's an idea. It's an experiment. It's something we aspire to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit pessimistic to say we don't have a democracy.
No, it's realistic.
We should say that we are working towards a more perfect democracy, a more perfect
No,
union.
we're not.
But we should though. That's
So
depressing
It's too
to
late.
me.
It's too late.
What do we have?
What we have is we have a capitalist republic.
I would unfortunately kind of agree with the republic aspect.
Yeah,
of
we have
it.
a capitalist republic. We have a country that's run by the pharmaceutical industry, the military-industrial complex, and donors that are pushing whatever agenda they have, which right now is really the insurance companies. So you have basically major corporations that dictate policy. Look, there was a period of time where I think we had the same person, and I can't remember his name, but he was a bald guy, he had hair around his side, glasses, who wrote every piece of legislation that went on the floor for a vote from Carter all the way through, I think, to Obama.
Dan Rostenkowski.
Was that his name?
The head of the Ways and Means Committee.
Yeah, he wrote every.
He was a big guy, Dan Rostenkowski.
Basically wrote every piece of legislation.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single person on the floor, and Nancy Pelosi gave it away the last time when someone said to her, "What's in the bill?" And she's like, "Well, you have to read it because none of them read it.
Right.
None of them know."
Well, they can't, there's not bandwidth to read it because their bills are this.
Forget about the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Who's writing it? It's lawyers.
Right.
Lawyers for the companies looking to achieve their ends. Okay.
Yeah, but
the fact that we have 50 states in this country, and I can drive my car across any one of those 48 states because I can't get to Hawaii and Alaska, by car. But insurance companies in New Jersey are limited to this group, and Georgia this group. The fact that someone can't come along and say, "We have an open market for insurance. You know what? Go get insurance wherever the hell you want."
Right.
You mean to tell me that's a government function and not an insurance company function?
Yeah.
The fact that now we fight wars through proxies and we're still getting weapons all over the world and all of these companies are still generating money for weapons.
Yeah.
And now the big difference is we got no caskets coming back with flags on them.
Yeah.
Winning.
Yeah.
The fact that we can make certain drugs mandatory, without any peer review with regards to what illnesses are.
I think COVID was.
Who's running the country?
I think COVID was one of the biggest
Experiments?
No, like taking the legs out of our democracy. That was terrible. Like in New Jersey, they're just executive order, can't leave your house. Executive order, I'm going to shut down your business.
Based on nothing.
Like in hindsight,
based on the weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, exactly. Like in hindsight, it was clearly to scare people to get vaccines, which we're all paying for, and which mostly weren't needed. I mean, we can go down that thing forever and ever, just to give money to the pharmaceutical companies. And by the way, why are all these people now having like this myocarditis, weird heart conditions, younger people? Like,
it put me in a hospital, nearly killed me. I took a vaccine to work.
Because they wouldn't let you work without
for work.
Yeah.
And so in order to work,
couldn't you get one of those?
You nearly killed me. You put me in a hospital. I had to sign a DNR. And but for the grace of God, I'm here.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a pescatarian, I run marathons. I'm as healthy as I've ever been. In order for me to leave the country to go work in another country, I needed that card.
And while this is all going down, if anyone said, "Is this really the best thing?" they got shut down.
Now,
freedom of speech. That was crazy.
My mom, who was older, who was immunocompromised, get the vax, mom.
Yeah.
You need it.
Right.
I don't.
And then there was a point where you needed 2 or 3 shots or they wouldn't let you in. You need to like update your card.
So
that's just.
So now we have 13 more billionaires because of it.
Right.
We have Bill Gates trading stocks, dumping stocks, everything else based on how the vax is going and not going. We pay for the vaccine.
Yes.
We pay for Operation Warp Speed. They keep the profits?
Yeah.
Tell me again how this is not a capitalist republic.
Yeah, it's rigged. And also it was the same thing with the heroin pills, Vicodin and all that stuff.
Here's the great thing.
Vicodin, those pills, like let's say Pittsburgh just uses round numbers. I'm bad at math. Pittsburgh needs 100 pills.
Yeah.
They would ship 1,000 pills to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Wait, where are those 900 pills going? They knew it was where 100%. It was going, and they were fucking killing people.
Here's the good news for your kids.
Yeah.
Forget about the democracy.
We can go move to Australia with the nice Australians.
No. Here's the good news for your kids. All you need to do. What town you live in?
A town in Monmouth County.
In your town in Monmouth County.
Because of the 5 people that listen to the show, there's one that's a little edgy, and I don't want to
get away from it. Here's what you need to do. Know the people that live on your block.
Yeah.
Know your family members. Take care of your community.
Yeah.
Because people know the names of representatives from states that they don't live in. How many people know the name of their mayor? How many people know the name of their chief of police, the fire chief, the head of the school board, their principal? Take care. I know the names of everyone on this side of my street, that side of my street, behind me, everywhere around me. I know the names of their dogs when I walked my dog through the park. Take care of your community.
Yeah.
Take care of the people in your school. If everyone is responsible for their community. And you know everyone. Like when I grew up in Hackensack, I could walk through the city of Hackensack today and tell you which family lived in which house because we all watched each other. Take your phones, stop communicating with people that way.
Yeah.
Get back to this.
100%.
Become more communal. If you take care of your community, everyone is responsible for their community, and that's what you become, then every community gets better. You build from the inside out. If you're waiting for politicians to save you, you got the wrong savior.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
You're waiting for the wrong people to save you. Be what you want your community to be. Everyone is moving. What is it now? 45% of people identify as independents?
Did you say identify as male or female?
No, independents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
I
That's a whole other discussion.
I thought you were going into this whole gender identification thing. Sorry, you meant politics.
Which is another thing that I don't care about, and I tell people all the time. You could tell me what your name is. If you told me, Mark, if you told me your name was Maria, I'd call you whatever the hell your name. I don't.
I appreciate that.
He was considering.
I thought long and hard about this decision. I appreciate it.
It cost me nothing. It cost me nothing to call you whatever you want to be called.
Yeah.
It cost me nothing to use whatever pronoun you want me to use. Here's my only thing. If I don't know you, don't presume I know whatever's going on with you and jump on me if I call you Mr. and you want to be called Miss. Give me the opportunity to get to know you before you immediately jump on me because of what's going on with your own life.
Do you think social media communication, like text messaging and all this, do you think it's a real human interaction?
No, because you have the safety of distance.
But also, isn't a lot of it like bot driven? Like who you talk to and when is largely determined by the algorithm, and then even what you say to them may be AI driven because you'll type the word you'll type a letter and it'll automatically type a phrase for you, and then you just hit send. Like, is this a real human communication?
The most dangerous thing without face-to-face communication is you bring your own personal feelings to everything that you read.
Yeah.
So whenever you're reading the written word, you're reading it based on what you're going through at that moment. Going back to Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Phenomenal sketch they have where they're exchanging text messages.
Yes.
Yep.
Anybody that's watching this, go watch that.
Whatever.
Yes.
That motherfucker.
Right.
And it's
Because you bring in what you're
Yeah.
feeling at that moment.
Yeah.
And how many times have you written an email where you've paused and been like, what do you do?
Emails are different because emails now, at least for us, are very professional, very sterile.
How many times do I write in an email, please do not read tone into this email? Probably 5 out of 10 times.
Or you could put an emoji in it and insert tone.
Whatever you have to do,
Yeah.
because, again, a lot of lawyers are on edge.
Yes.
We're under a lot of stress and pressure.
Yeah.
Please, if you have any questions about this email, please call me. There's no tone behind this email. I do that a lot.
Just give me the fucking document.
Yeah. Angry emoji.
Yeah.
I will
angry.
pick up. How many times before I write a letter will I call an attorney? Listen,
That's old school. Yeah. That's
I
smart.
have to send this letter this
Yeah,
way.
that's
My
good. That's a good
client
thing.
is on me.
Mhm.
You're late with your discovery.
Mhm.
I don't like doing this, but I have to. You know what I get? Vince, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm late. Send me the letter. Thank you. You know what? Yeah, I owe you something. Whatever it might be. I always preface it with a phone call because even though that attorney may be in the wrong,
Yeah.
they're behind on their work, as most of us are.
We don't think it's behind on their work though.
So we're overworked.
Well, no, I find that the way, because I try to keep up on defense trends about how they try to screw our clients out of recovery, and a lot of
Because the insurance companies run the country. Go ahead.
yeah, the insurance company, but the way they do it is, well, it's deny, delay, defend. So
Build up my cash, you have cash, and I'll pay at the end of the year.
no, in the personal injury cases, they just delay. They don't answer because we have the burden of proof and we have to be ready and we have to prosecute the cases. So they often
And there's an
defend.
office that's billing a lot of money.
Yeah, they'll defend cases by doing nothing. I don't know. That's what I find.
Because they're billing out, because there's a pool of money there set aside for litigation. There's a pool of money set aside for settlement. It's all it is money shifting. They don't care about your client. They don't care about their injuries. All they care about is that number on the bottom.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. But I'm kind of with Jerry too. At least in the area of law that we practice, it does seem like it's a tactic sometimes to delay and drag things out. I do appreciate the professional courtesies from time to time. I had that. Someone filed like a kind of nasty opposition to an application we made, and the guy called me ahead of time. He's like, "Hey, listen, on paper, I'm going to make you look like the worst guy in the world, just so you know." And I appreciated that.
But Mark, why are they not paying out right away? Why are they holding on to that money? Why delay?
It's getting interest in their own accounts. Yeah, there's no doubt.
There's several reasons.
That's all this is.
No, it's not only interest in the accounts and investing the money. It's also because as cases go on and they drag, you just lose. You lose witnesses.
The war of attrition.
Yeah, it's
the client
attrition.
breaks. And the client breaks.
Yeah, and
the client just wants
also
their money.
And also, there's a school of thought in the defense insurance companies where if you pay early, you'll get the reputational pay early, and then you'll be sued more.
Right.
So that's
while
also
Allstate, you're going to trial.
There's I think you've told me about it, or I've seen it. There's a PowerPoint presentation by one insurance company where there's a guy like hanging on a rope over an alligator. And they're like, delay your claims. People will give up interest. They'll take less. Or if you're lucky, they'll die.
It's a game.
And the claim will be worth less because of pain and suffering.
The only time we've seen insurance companies try to settle cases right away is where someone gets in a really bad accident. They get rear-ended. It's not their fault. The insurance company contacts them right away and says, hey, we'll give you $3,000 for the damage to your car. And then they'll have them sign something that also secretly signs away their personal injury case, which may be worth many hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's another
release and waiver. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So did we get to the part where we're just staring at each other and have
No.
nothing to
Do
say?
you want to take a breather and come back? Because I have like
I want to go over your questions.
Vince said to me, I said, well, Vince, when this is going to end? And he's, I said, the podcasts, they go about 1 hour. Sometimes they go 3. And I said, we'll just organically end. And Vince is like, well, it'll end when we stare at each other.
Yeah,
I have nothing left to
uncomfortably.
say.
Yeah. Mark's got
or
all
when Mark
kinds of
needs a
questions.
bathroom break.
He's got interrogatories for me.
Yes, he does. He does.
Look, this is. I'll show you. So this is the pad running throughout all these things. These were the
Look at where it
notes. These were
starts.
the notes for the first podcast. These are the notes for the 24th for me. I got 2 things on here.
Mark is ready to say, have you ever had your deposition taken before?
Mark, I'm like your first boss to Mark, where he was threatened by you, and with all Mark's preparation, I'm fully threatened by Mark. He's going to take the show over.
I'll read to you every word on here. Growing up, Italian immigrant, bakery, work ethic,
But you know
career, criminal defense attorney.
You see that pad? The great thing is, I have hundreds of those filled with comedy notes.
It's great.
Because we're so trained to do, because I don't know about you. Do you type everything into a computer or do you write it down first?
When I'm getting kind of more into the weeds on something, to have it physically written down, it gets in there way better. I think I might be on the cusp of that last generation where that's the deal.
Yeah.
I want stuff printed out hard copy if it's something real important. And if I write something down,
I will
it's in there
remember
way
it
more.
better if I write it than if I type it.
All right, let's use the bathroom real quick because you have this case
Yeah.
that I do want to ask about. That's when you talk about politics and whatever. We'll talk about this case. It's very interesting.
Cool. I don't know if you do this. I tend to do this where I write out all of my notes, and it'll take maybe 12 pages, and then I'll write bullet points and subsection, and that'll be down to like 6 pages. And then I'll take them, highlight the most important ones, and then eventually get it down to 3 pages and edit it down. And that's how I memorize things.
The way I studied for the bar exam and for law school exams is I would have my, notebook or these pages and pages of notes, and I'd do the same thing. I'd get it down to where it was 1 page.
Yeah.
And that was how I learned is just to make things as simple as they could be.
Yeah.
Which I feel like with what we do can be really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're doing a construction case where there's thousands of pages of documents and this person hired this person and these regulations say this, that, and the other, you're like, if you can boil that down to, the main 3 or 5 points, like we always talk about that's what trial is. You started talking about red wells. We'll have a case where there's 10 red wells and you get it to trial. You're like, all right, well, this is the 1 red well.
Yeah.
And these are the 2 folders that I really need for this, 3-week trial.
But just to show you the overlap, you'd be surprised to see how many people in the entertainment industry went to law school. And it's the one thing I tell people, anyone that wants to go to law school, I'm like, well, do you want to be a lawyer? For sure. And if they're like, yeah, I'm like, well, then you have to do it. if anyone's on the fence, I tell people, look, the one thing I will tell you about law school is there was no education I went through throughout my life that will teach you how to read, comprehend, and analyze better than what law school did. The training in law school was unbelievable. And it also, and man, everyone should go to law school now. It teaches you to pause and not react.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, people that are thinking of going to law school and things, if I explain what law school is like, you learn very little about how to actually practice law. Almost virtually nothing.
Zero.
But I would say you legitimately get your brain rewired on how you think about things, you process things. I used to love reading. I was an English major. I'd rip through like a Stephen King book or something. That same book now would take me so much longer because I'm like, what did he mean by that? Like, well, what does this word mean? Why is this there? You just change how you process things.
The other thing I notice about lawyers, I don't know about you guys, my office is an ADHD nightmare because I have 2 computer screens going at the same time. I have a TV going that's just playing news in the background in case I want to come up with a funny bit because, again, I want to stay up on world events. And then I have my phone going and I'm working on whatever I'm working on. And someone walks in and looks at that and they're like, how do you manage to get what you get done? And it's because in court, you're taking notes, you're thinking about what you want to ask, but at the same time listening to what's going on. Then another thought comes on. So you're writing in a column. This is another thought for another question. Here's the answer to that question. It really rewires your brain in a way that I say to people, it was without a doubt the most challenging thing I ever did in any aspect of education in my life. I don't regret a minute of that because law school was incredible for that purpose.
I can't write a brief. I have this weird thing where I can't sit down and do my work unless the room's clean. Like a lot of times I'll have to vacuum the room and make sure everything's clean and there's no dust, and then I can start to work. And even like I have a gym in my garage and I lift weights in the garage and work out there a lot, and I don't start working out until I first blow out the garage with a blower and get all the dust out. I try to be very
it's the habit. Yeah. It's you develop a habit and a rhythm, and stand up is the same way in many ways. Whenever we toured, Trevor used to laugh because I would have my notepad and we would land in a city and we performed in, what was it, like 67 cities, 35 states, just about everywhere in Canada. And when we would get the car service that would pick us up, I would sit in the front of the SUV or whatever it was, and I would talk to the driver, and I would ask him, so what's going on in town right now? What are the hot spots? What's this? What's that? What are people into? What's this bill? And I would basically get the lay of the land because I was the first comedian that would go out, and even in an arena, I would try to connect with the audience to let them know, look, even though there's 10,000 of you here and you look like you're far away, no, I'm with you. And I would pick up on whatever the local story was and jot down notes. And again, it's where the lawyer mind meets the comedian mind. And I think there's so much similarity in the two professions, which is maybe why I've been able to have some success at both.
How'd you get linked up with Trevor Noah, The Daily Show? Because you talk about, you're like, I haven't made it, but that's a household name, and that's a...
Yeah, it was, again, and this is why I tell people, when something looks like a failure or something looks like it's not working out for you, don't ever look at it that way. It's just the road is giving you the adjustment to take. So I was opening up for a big headline name at Caroline's on a weekend, and the MC was there. The MC warmed up the crowd. I went up and I did my thing, and I'm very high energy. You've seen my video. And the next comic who went up was, again, everyone knows him. Again, because my energy was so high and his energy wasn't, he had trouble following, and people started walking out of the show. And I went home and I got a call from the manager of the club, and he's like, look, we're going to switch up the lineup. You're going to MC. We're going to get someone else to come in and feature. I'm going to take the MC that was on off. I'll make it up to him. and then he's in the headline. But when you go up between the feature and the headliner, don't do any time. Just bring him right up. So I'm like, all right, so I'm doing crowd work. So he goes, yes, I go up, I do nothing but crowd work, bring up the feature, and then, bring up the next guy. So what would normally be split up in 2 sets was in one long 15-minute improv set. And the comic who wound up being a feature, we're sitting down, we're watching the show, and he goes, man, that's your crowd work is unbelievable. He goes, you got this crowd from sitting down to crazy in a while. So I said, thank you. And he goes, have you ever done warm-up for like a TV show? And I go, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, well, like there's audiences that comedians warm them up. I'm like, you guys don't just have signs or whatever? So he goes, no, we have a warm-up comic. So I go, okay. And he goes, you know who I am, right? I said, yeah, you're Rory. And he goes, I'm Rory Albanese. And usually when someone says their last name to you, it means they're somebody important. So I looked at him, I went, yeah, no, I know. I introduced you on stage. And I'm like,
yeah. Now you go to Google. Yeah.
I'm like, so he's like, you don't know where I work, do you? I'm like, no, I don't. He goes, dude. He goes, I'm one of the executive producers for The Daily Show. I'm like, dude, you got to open with that. I said, you didn't tell me that in your credit. And he said, I want you to come down to the show. So I went down to the show and I watched the guy do warm up. And he goes, can you do this? And I went, oh yeah, I got this. And we just waited. And finally it opened up for me to do warm up. And he said, Vin, you're on. And I went in and I did warm up that day. And I just remember as John was coming out, hand him the mic with this hand, shake his hand with this hand, don't screw up the handoff or whatever. So here comes Jon Stewart, who I'm meeting for the first time. And it was a really good warm-up set. There's a few times as a comic you think you did well. That was like an out-of-body experience, and I knew I nailed it. And he comes out, I go, John, I said, it's such an amazing pleasure to meet you. I said, thank you so much for this. And he looks at me and goes, dude, who the fuck kills warm-up? So I went, thank you, John. Again, this is like a dream, man. And he goes, no, seriously, who the fuck kills warm-up? So I hand him the mic. He slaps me on the shoulder. He goes, Vince August, everybody. And I walk off, and Rory Albanese is waiting behind the wall like a gangster.
Yeah.
And he goes, come here. Come here. And he literally hugs me, gives me a kiss on the cheek like a gangster. Yeah. And he goes, I've been talking so much shit about you. He goes, and you crushed it. You lived up to the hype. And, oh, God, who was there? There was another comedian. Oh, my God, I'm drawing a blank on who it was that was there. And he was like, dude, you destroyed warm-up. He goes, that was amazing. Went around and they're like, you're going to be our new backup. And then I filled in a lot while John was there. John leaves the show. Trevor comes in. I introduce myself to Trevor. And
does that kind of thing pay well? I'm not looking for dollar amounts, but is that like
yeah, it's a good gig.
It's a good gig.
It's definitely one you want.
Yeah.
And then when Trevor came in, he brought in his own guy, which I understand. And sure enough, he goes about doing his own thing. And I filled in like once or twice. And then they had, for whatever reason, his guy was out 2 days. And I'm going to say his guy's name because he was a great guy, Angelo Lozado, who's since passed away. And I filled in for 2 days. And then I got a call back saying, listen, we want you to clear out Wednesday, Thursday of this week coming up. And I'm like, that's weird that Angelo would know so far in advance he was going to be out, whatever. And I went in, and the stage manager looked at me and goes, so what's Comedy Central here checking you out? And I look at him, I go, not as far as I know. He goes, no, dude, this was scheduled. And I'm like, you work here. I don't. I'm like, I'm just here to do warm-up. And I did warm-up. And the interesting thing was, as this was going on, this was 2018, I had picked a show in November 30th, 2018, was going to be my last stand-up show. I was moving out of it because I was doing less and less shows. I was down to, I think, 150 performances a year. And it just...
Down to?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot.
And it just wasn't financially lucrative. My office was kind of taking off, and I'm like, I'm approaching 50. I got to make a decision here.
Your law office was taking off.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be my last show. And I booked the theater in Hackensack, which is the town I grew up. That's the That's where I'm going to go
We're
out.
back at home.
And the name of the show was Vince August Comes Home. It was supposed to be Vince August Goes Home because that was going to be my last show. And then I get a call, and they're like, look, we want you to fill in this week in June. So I'm like, a whole week? What's going on there? So I go in, and it's the Monday, and one of the producers, Jill, says, hey, take a walk with me. And I take a walk with her around the hall, and she goes, look, so we've been talking. When you're here, the audience is just at a different level. We talked to Angelo. He gets it. Do you want the job full time? And it was one of those moments in time you will never forget where you're standing. You'll never forget the way the person looked at you. And what seemed to be the end of the road, all of a sudden,
wild,
Wow.
it's like trucks came in and just paved a whole new road. And here comes the gravel. Here comes the guys painting the lines. And now you got a whole new road that you're going down, and you didn't see it. You know, it looked like this is it. This is where it ends.
So when I played basketball, just in grammar school, high school, you know, I could hit 8 out of 10 foul shots, 9 out of 10 foul shots. Okay. It like I could never be an NFL kicker. Okay. I could probably kick the ball every time, get it in there. But when it matters, I would choke every time. And when I was shooting the foul shots, I would 4 out of 10. I would just choke.
Yeah.
Is there a choke factor? Like now it's paved, here it is. Or are you just so comfortable in your craft that you're like, I can go kill this?
I live for those moments.
Yeah.
I'm the guy. If we're playing
like when I'm talking in front of a jury,
Yeah.
or I know and I'm up and it's time to go, there's like no choke factor.
But that's the thing.
I remember my first time in court. People are like, "Were you nervous?" I've never been nervous in court ever.
Really?
Like ever. Even
I'm
my
nervous.
first time standing up.
Yeah.
Like so, I'll never choke in court. I'll choke kicking a field goal. But
I'm nervous every time.
really, in court or in the comedy?
Everything. And I think it's because, and I'm not trying to say this isn't for you. For me, I care so much about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I live by this thing. You don't know if this is your last show.
Right.
You don't know if this is the last time people will ever see you.
That's the entertainment industry.
Even in law.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is my last case. I'm a solo practitioner. I don't know when this is going to end. When I run a race, you know, I just did the Dopey Challenge. I don't know if this is the last time I'm going to run a race. I literally live with the memory of 9/11 because I saw it.
Yeah.
And that day changed me forever.
Wow.
And you don't know if this is your last everything. So I treat everything. The only thing that matters to me right now in the world is this podcast.
Yeah.
I want this to be the best interview I ever give because this could be the last one I ever give. So I came here today nervous. I want to make this good for you, for the people watching.
Well, that's why I
for
had
me.
stage fright in the beginning. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah, no, and look, but then you trust your skill set.
I'm just kidding. I knew what I would want to say. It was that I didn't know what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
That was my plan.
But you see, the reason why you're not nervous is because you trust your skill set, and you should. And I trust my skill set too.
Yeah.
But I think it's also I come from an emotional place. I care so much that I want it to work.
Yeah.
And as much as, and this is going to sound really weird, and maybe it's the performer in me.
Yeah.
I want this to be your best podcast. I want you guys to walk out of here going, man,
That guy was great.
I appreciate it. Maybe we'll double our listeners to 10. But one thing I've learned is that, so like when you're trying a case, like if you're in front of a jury, one thing I've learned is you have to really care.
You have to.
But you got to half not give a shit too. Like, and I've said that to guys when they're going out to trial.
You can't be afraid to lose.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't be afraid to lose.
You know,
because you're gonna.
I've said to Mark, you know, you work hard, you know, or he talks to me about my cases. And I have this idea, like, you know, you're going to work hard, you're going to be prepared, but you can't want it too much. If you want it too much, the jury senses that. And then like any little thing, it's almost like, you know, in an election, like if you want to win too much, I think one of the reasons that Trump was successful, at least the first time around, is because it didn't seem like he wanted it that much.
He didn't.
He was
promoting a book.
He was
promoting
chasing
a
cars.
TV
And
show.
actually caught one. And was like, wait.
It was
Yeah,
like
he was promoting a TV show, promoting
it was
a book.
like he didn't give a shit, and so he didn't follow any of the standard rules, and that's why he tore them up in that primary debate where he told Jeb Bush, "Yeah, okay, tough guy," and he's rolling his eyes like no one would ever do that before.
The moment, and I don't want to get back on him, but the
No,
moment
no.
he realized, the moment things changed for him, in my opinion, if someone says to me, "What do you think it changed for him?" It was the day he said, "I can stand up and shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square, and people still." That was him talking out loud, which is what he does, saying, "You people really like me."
Yeah, or I don't really care.
And that was that was when you realized, "Oh, you really want me to do this?
Yeah.
You know what? Screw it. Let's go in."
All right.
But you trust your skill set, and for me, it's always I'm nervous before every set, whether it's at the Daily Show doing warm up, whether I'm headlining. I don't care if I'm doing a 5-minute guest spot.
Is that just pregame butterflies? Because it's the difference between pregame butterflies and being nervous throughout the performance.
No, I'm not. The second I know I'm going on, nerves go away.
Yep. So
Yeah,
it's pregame butterflies.
100%.
Yeah, and it's also it's not necessarily nerves in the way I'm afraid to screw up. It's I want to go. So like you say, Vin, we're going to play a pickup softball game. Come down and play. I'm going to look at you and say, we keeping score? Yeah. All right. So we got to win. If there's a situation where someone's got to go up and hit, I'm looking at the lineup and I'm looking at everybody going, you better not make out, because I'm already holding the bat.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I love those moments. You know, those moments where the moment is bigger than the person. I make hay, but I'm going to go up there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be locked in. I'm going to dial in. And I love that. I love that pressure.
Real quick process question. I'm trying to understand this.
Yeah.
So when you go up and do an hour show or you do a warm up, is it all memorized, or
No.
are you ad-libbing, or do you just have ideas in your mind or markers and then you just kind of ad-lib at each marker?
Warm up is give them the instructions up front.
Right.
And then the way I treat warm up is it's, you know, whether at Last Week Tonight or the Daily Show, it's, I guess, 200 something seats. I've got to take this room and shrink it as much as I can to make these people feel they're not at the taping of a show.
Right.
I want the room to shrink. I want these people here to know these people here. I want to come closer and closer so that when the person behind the desk is there, they've already connected and forgot the fact that there's cameras in front of them.
Right.
I've never once introduced myself to a warm-up crowd. No one knows my name unless they tell them what my name is. I don't, because I'm not there for me.
Yeah.
I'm there for the show. And my job is to get them laughing so that as soon as whoever sits in that chair tells their first joke,
They're already
in that mode.
Got
It's
it.
like an MC of a show.
Got it.
When I headline, if I'm not taping, I have certain bits I'd like to get to because I'm working on them.
Yeah.
When I get to them, depends on the first 10 minutes of my crowd work,
Yeah.
because this bit may not work for them.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to waste a bit on a crowd that doesn't want to hear it. So I did a show last week, and as soon as I got on stage, people were chatty. Well, I'm not going to give you material. I need to get you undistracted from whatever you're distracted from. And the reason they were distracted is the show was going long. They were going to the bathroom, waited for everybody. Once everyone was sat down, now I already did 15 minutes of improv. I know what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
All right, you guys like dating jokes. I'll go into some of my dating stuff. You know, and then I'll play with that, see what hits there. Oh, you like this? And then that'll branch off into something else. So I don't think I've done the same set twice ever unless I was prepping for something.
Yeah.
And I had a tape for something.
That's a talent, man. That's a
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
talent.
To be able to just feel the room and be dynamic with it.
Yeah,
and be
that's my approach every time.
It actually weird. I saw a famous comedian, then he had a Netflix stand-up special, and I saw him before the stand-up special came out, and I couldn't process that it was exactly the same thing I had seen live. Like they taped it and then they taped it again. I was like, how could it was such an illusion that everything was like genuine, off the cuff, like that he was like, you know, thinking of it on the fly, but it was like that was such a well-rehearsed thing. to then see it verbatim played, it was kind of disorienting.
The thing that blew my mind about Richard Pryor was when he taped, I think it was live on the Sunset Strip, he taped it once with no audience. It was just him on stage, and he ran the set, and they had cameras on him, and they filmed it as if he was performing, and he wanted one clean go through because he didn't know what the audience was going to do. So the next day he went in and taped it with the audience, and then he looked at his producers and said, well, you've got it now because you've got the cameras on me telling the joke and you've got their reaction. You guys do whatever you do, put it together. And I think Eddie Murphy did that once too. And to me, to perform in front of no audience and do that, I could do it in my room. But once I'm on stage to perform to empty seats, I think that would freak me out.
Yeah,
There's
that's weird. That's weird.
Yeah.
I remember hearing a story about Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack, and he's like doing his stuff, and he's like, this is bomb. And he's like, nobody's laughing. And they're like, it's a movie set. They can't. Yeah, but it was like throwing him off.
And you know, it's not to ask your question for you, but people say to me, what's harder, acting or comedy? And I say, well, there's two different what's harder. What's harder is making a group of strangers you've never met that have all different walks of life and different thoughts laugh together. Acting, performing, delivering your lines with nothing coming back other than the reaction of the other actor in your scene and waiting to hear cut and look at the director, especially again when you're an unknown and you're just thinking, please say that was good. Please say that was good. You know?
Yeah.
And the last thing I was in with it was a General Hospital, and I nailed my line, and especially in a soap, it's like this. You can't flub.
Right.
And it was great. Next set, let's go. Let's move everybody. Great, next. And then at the end, it's Vince, perfect, well done. And you're just, you know, you're just like, I hope I'm doing this right. You know, and so that's really hard. And that's like a jury.
Yeah.
You're delivering all your lines.
Yeah.
You're not going to know to the very last day. That's acting.
How are we going to fit in the two major things that we haven't even touched on? You want to talk that case and and your whole kind of the reason in the legal field you're so well known is because you have an interesting story about being a judge and also a comedian, and there's ethical rules and those kind of class
sounds
together.
Boring as shit to me to talk about the ethical rules. But I mean,
there's an interesting twist to that story.
I mean, bottom line, you were a judge, but yeah, like Mark says, tell the story. Let's not talk about the ethical rules too much, though.
So everyone got the story wrong that reported on it. Everyone thought that I was a judge that decided on doing stand-up. And now you guys know the story. That's not true.
Yeah.
I was a lawyer comedian the entire time. The mayor of South Hackensack calls me in. She just gets elected, and it's 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And when she called me in, I thought she was calling me in to be a public defender. And she goes, look, we're reorganizing, and you know we're working on the courts. We need a new judge. And I'm like, you want to list the names? She goes, no, we want you. And I looked at her, and I was on my way to Gotham Comedy Club that night. And back in the day, we used to carry, you know, like your DVD in case you had to audition for something. And I took it out, and I slid across it. I'm like, you better watch this. And she took it, and she slid it back. She goes, no, we know you're a comedian. I'm like, no, you better watch this. And I was like, no, we know.
Talk about the you know, whatever.
Something out of a sitcom.
Yeah.
You know, and it was literally us sliding this back. And the township attorney was there, who was now a Superior Court judge. And he goes, Vince, we know. He goes, and we're fine with it. That's between you and the administrative office of the courts, but we're going to vote for you. And I'm like, but I'm not a Republican. And they go, are you a Democrat? I said, no. They go, so what difference does it make? So I'm like, but why me? They go, because you're not a Republican or a Democrat. They go, we want someone that we know based on reputation. You're here based on reputation. The one thing everyone says about you is you want fair and honest, you bring this person in. So sure enough, they vote for me 5-0.
What town is this?
South Hackensack.
Got it. Okay.
The town next to the town I grew up in.
Yeah.
Which is the first time my father got a job working here from Italy. So they vote for me. get sworn in. I called the
Can you speak Italian, by the way?
That's my first language. Yeah.
Oh,
That was all
that's
they
cool.
spoke in the home
Yeah.
growing up.
Is Italian? Is it Sicilian or it's all Italian?
Both. So I learned the Sicilian dialect and I learned Italian in school. But the rule in the house was we speak Italian in the house. Outside of the house, you speak English.
Oh, cool.
We're in
Got it.
America.
Yeah.
You show, we show respect to the country we're in.
Did they say you're in America? Fucking speak English, or was it just speak English when you're not?
My first fist fight was in the second grade because someone called my mother an illegal alien, and that's when I got into my first fight. And it was a
Did
white
they
kid.
actually say illegal alien, or did they
this
say
little-
some like
No.
derogatory term?
Polak prick called my mother an illegal alien, and
How about the scene in The Godfather where he's like, any of you guinea wop goombas come out of the woodwork? He's like, I'm German Irish. Listen to my Mick Wop friends,
Yeah,
Like,
but
was it one of those deals?
but it was our neighborhood was very racially diverse,
yeah.
and the quote unquote white kids, which were the kids that again didn't know where their family heritage was from,
Yeah.
usually attacked the kids whose names were foreign or who were brown or who were whatever. And we were attacked. Greenhorn, was a big one when I was a kid. Grease monkey. We heard guinea, dago, wop. We heard it all.
I used to get
And-
called a clam digger, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what that was.
Well,
I
you
think it
live-
was someone from the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, you
but
live down here. That makes sense, actually.
We called you guys Bennies.
Benny's.
Yeah.
The Benny's coming down. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Is that derogatory? Is that bad, Benny?
I don't know.
Are you allowed to
What's
say that?
derogatory?
You can say anything today, right? Isn't DEI over? Or?
Look,
Here we go again. We go
All right,
back.
so you're
we're trying to focus on your judge
you
career.
can say anything that doesn't get you fired. That's what you could say.
We're trying to focus on your
Yeah.
judge career, and we
Oh,
keep
so,
going
yeah.
back. To,
So
and we
I
keep
get-
going back to.
So I get
sure what.
appointed. I want to say about 3 months in, they send you to this thing, baby judge school. I go down, and one of the things that came up were, other things you're doing in your career. I immediately went to the office, sat down, and said, listen, I act on a TV show called What Would You Do? I do stand-up comedy. Is this going to be a problem? Because I don't want to give up my criminal practice, which you have to give up as a municipal court judge if I'm going to do this job. Let me still keep my work, and this way I walk away now, no harm done. And they gave me a letter which said, you can't do these 3 things. I'm like, well, I don't do those 3 things anyway. We're fine. Serving out my term. I'm 2 years into my term. Another guy gets appointed in another town in Bergen County. Out of the gate, I don't even think he sat. He releases this mockumentary about Obama under the name Judicial Productions. The presiding judge in the county gets wind of it, goes, look, I don't know who pulled this scam off to get you appointed. Resign now. And he resigns immediately. And then all of a sudden, I get a call like 3 months later by the presiding judge, hey, you got to come in the office. Go in the office. He hands me a letter that's dated, this is 2010. This letter is dated October 2008. And he says, read the letter. And the letter is a recommendation by the administrative office of the courts that I should resign, that they find what I'm doing incompatible. And I am literally turning beet red because I'm like, how did I miss this? And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe I fucked up. And I turn the page and I'm reading the rest of the letter and I see CC'd that judge, and the other judge sitting in the room was the head of the municipal courts in my county, Judge Roy McGeady, on the letter. And I go, whoa, hold on a second. I'm like, I can tell you right now, I don't remember getting this. I know this is dated 2008, but you're both CC'd on it. When did you first see it? And they look at me and they go, calm down. We're just seeing it for the first time now. And I go, well, I said, I'm not resigning. I'm like, I know what this is. No, you can tell them, no, I'm not resigning. And what they were after was my performance on the TV show, What Would You Do? Because I always played the antagonist. When I told them no, they don't like that. They came back and brought a second complaint against me for my stand-up, which they had never seen. Because this is 2010. No one's really putting clips up anywhere, and I certainly didn't. Not because of my law career, because I was protecting my material.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want it stolen.
Right.
Because I'm an unknown.
Yep.
Someone known sees it, takes it, uses it. Who's going to believe me?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I never put anything up. So my term is ending. It's a 3-year term. Democrats win, Republicans lose. So now it's 4-1 Democrats to Republicans. I think the Attorney General's office is like, this guy's dead man walking. They're not going to reappoint him. So sure enough, the term ends. The head Democrat calls me up and says, everybody loves you in the town. We're going to reappoint you. What's this thing going on in the Supreme Court? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm fighting it. They go, good. We got your back. So sure enough, 5-0 vote, they reappoint me. Now the Attorney General's office is like, we have to deal with this guy. So sure enough, they file a second complaint. Here I am back in Judge Doyne's office with Judge McGeady there. And they look at me and they go, what do you want to do? I said, I'm sorry. They've never seen my stand-up. This is not right. And Judge McGeady says, I'd like to say something. And I'm like, I'm done.
Did you feel it was a little bit of a First Amendment kind of thing where they were?
At the time, I thought it was a White Tower type of thing.
Just a power move.
Yeah, I thought it was, we're up in the tower and this is a power move.
Yeah, got it.
So Judge McGeady stands up. He goes, I've sat in on 3 of his sessions, and we have 67, 66 municipal courts in Bergen County. If I had 67 of him, I would have no worries about my municipal courts. He does stuff that I took notes on that I don't do, that I should. So Judge Doyne looks at me and goes, we got your back. You're in. And then sure enough, the case gets scheduled. Katrina hits. It gets kicked to the next term. So I just keep serving out, my term. And then it's up for oral argument, and I have an attorney represent me just because, and he does it pro bono because he thinks this is crazy.
Drew Britcher, right?
Drew Britcher.
Yeah.
Major medical malpractice attorney.
Yeah.
And the case hinges on them not having evidence. So, the Attorney General is ripping into me. The justices look at her and go, well, what does he say on stage? Well, I don't know. He took everything down. And I nearly jumped out of my seat, and I'm smacking Drew, and I go, that's a lie.
Yeah.
And you know it's a lie. He goes, I got this. So they're like, well, what do you mean he took it down? He wiped the internet of any of his stuff, and I'm nearly punching Drew. So, they see me react, and they're like, what's happening there? And he's like, it was never up. She has nothing. And they're like, well, what about this TV show? She's like, well, he hasn't given us any of the episodes. I'm like, I don't own them.
Yeah.
I'm not ABC. So they're like, well, you give us the episodes. I said, I'll subpoena them from ABC. I'm sure they'll give them to me. And they said, what about your stand-up? And she wanted this stand-up special that I recorded in 2004. And they said, we want to see that one. I said, no. And they're like, what do you mean no? I said, I wasn't a judge in 2004. I said, I was a private citizen. You can have videos I'll give you from 2008 to the present, but you don't get 2004. And that made them mad. And Drew turned and looked at me, and he's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, I'm going to lose this case, but I'm not going to lose this case on their terms. If you can go back to 2004, you can go back to law school, you can go back to college, you can go back to high school. Where's the line?
Yeah.
The line for me is January 2008. They're not getting it.
Yeah.
And we literally got into a shouting match over it. I said, no. I said, Drew, I'm going to lose this case, but I'm not going to bend a knee.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, when they came out with their per curiam decision, it was, you could be a lawyer and a comedian, or a judge and a lawyer. And I'm like, wait, what? So what you're telling me is an unforgivable sin. All is forgiven if I agree not to do it anymore today. So all of the things that you're afraid that people would say about me if I came into court and saw me, that gets wiped clean if I stop doing it now. Now, look, I was going to resign no matter what.
Yeah.
But that was the part I found offensive.
Yeah.
And I had lawyers call me from around the country saying, we want to take this to the Supreme Court. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't, look, I get it. I disagree with it, but I get it.
Yeah.
And you know what? In the end, this thing is more important than that thing. So that's why I resigned and walked away. And there was news vans outside my house, and I didn't talk to anybody. The first person I spoke to was Judge McGeady, who had my back. I resigned, and he actually hugged me and got choked up and said, we lost a great judge today.
Yeah.
And that's all I needed.
Evan Broadbelt was a municipal court judge, and in the 90s, he used to make appearances on court TV, and they put the kibosh on that too.
Yeah. Well, there was it Mills Lane, the boxing referee that was a New Jersey attorney?
Okay.
Same thing happened. Now, he said, I'm going to stop refereeing fights. And then 2 weeks later, it's on HBO. You know, so you can't do that. You can't say, all right, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then ding, ding. Wait a minute, what's happening?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize, lawyers are held to a different standard. You know, we don't have the freedom of speech. Like,
No.
like there's a lot of things we can't say, even on a
Social
podcast
media.
like this, just simply as lawyers, and we're very scrutinized,
Well, listen, the weird twist of all of this thing is after all that happens, 2013, I get a call 7 years later from the presiding judge in Bergen County, who I adore, Bonnie Misdall. She calls me up and she goes, I'm putting you on the ethics committee, our district ethics committee. So I said to her, Judge, what the hell are you doing to me?
Yeah.
She goes, there's no one better for this than you.
Yeah.
She goes, you went through it. She goes, you're going to bring rationality to that office. I said, who's asking me to do this? She goes, I am. And I was like, I didn't say no to her because I just have so much respect for her. She's such a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
Forget about what she was as a lawyer and a judge, who I even more respect for what that person brings to the bench, brings to the profession. When someone like that says to you, do this. So I served for a 3-year term. And the one thing that I tried to bring to that is, are we doing reviews or are we witch hunting here?
Right.
Because you guys are playing fast and loose with careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's, this guy shouldn't have any job.
Yeah.
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 And this is a mistake.
Yeah.
This is a technicality. This is an accounting error.
Yeah.
There's stealing clients' money. There's misappropriating funds. And then there's, I deposited the retainer in my business account instead of my trust account, but here's all of the billing for it.
Yeah.
What are we doing here, guys?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're in Jersey,
Very scrutinized.
yeah.
Unbelievably.
Yeah.
We've all been audited. I know I've been audited.
We could do this. I feel like I could talk to you for a week because you're super interesting. But before we get to that point where we have that awkward stare,
Yes.
like we need to end this.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. So as I understand it, you have a lawsuit on behalf of a person or a company that wanted to open a cannabis business in, I think, Hoboken. And there's an allegation in the complaint, and I think it went up to the appellate division and came back down, that says at the time, the mayor of Jersey City, his wife had a competing cannabis business, and apparently the allegation is that your client's cannabis business was unfairly not approved or shut down. They didn't get the proper approvals, and apparently the allegation is that there was like backdoor politicking going on where it kiboshed it to benefit the wife of the mayor of Jersey City so that business would do well and wouldn't have the competition. And in return, the person who was involved in putting the kibosh on it was also a politician, was then allegedly promised to get business to that person's law firm in exchange for having quashed your client's thingy. And apparently this story all came out in a separate whistleblower complaint. That's how I understand it.
Yeah.
But that sounds very Jersey Justice, if not Sopranos to me.
Yeah, so close, but not really.
Yeah.
So the complaint speaks for itself. What it really was, what it's been about so far is satisfying Title 59. So in the state of New Jersey, for the people watching, when you bring a claim against a government entity, you have to do so within 90 days. If not, you have to take leave of the court to say why it's a late notice of claim within 1 year. So what happened was my client, represented by another attorney, made an application for a marijuana license in the city of Hoboken. None were issued at the time. It's COVID. She goes before the board on a Zoom meeting. She gets approved. Now, what's supposed to happen after that is the mayor of the town is supposed to issue a letter, either supporting it or rejecting it. Nothing happens. I'm not her attorney. I don't know why nothing happens. There's some phone calls, there's some inquiries made. Nobody seems to know why this thing isn't approved or rejected or why the mayor did nothing. But during that course of time, 2 other licenses are approved. We know one of them goes to the mayor of Jersey City's wife. Second one goes to another entity. And then we don't know what happens with the rest of the licenses. My client is just left in the dark. We see a complaint filed 2 years later, and it's by Pantaleo Pellegrini, who worked for the town, the city of Hoboken. He files a whistleblower complaint against the city, alleging that there's a lot of quid pro quo going on with the mayor. There's a lot of backdoor deals going on, and this is all in his complaint. Again, it's public knowledge, it's out there. As soon as my client sees the complaint, she calls me. Again, I didn't handle the marijuana application because we want that attorney as a witness, obviously. She comes to me, I represent her on other issues, and says, what do we do? You're a litigation guy. I said, well, I got filed Title 59 immediately. Immediately filed for the Title 59, put the city on notice, put all the parties on notice. Not wanting to waste time, I prepare a complaint immediately, having no FOIA information, nothing, file the complaint. We serve all of the interested parties.
And what is your complaint?
My complaint is alleging tortious interference with a contract based on the allegations in the whistleblower complaint, meaning my client should have been given this license, but was not, because what this guy is saying, all of you are doing behind closed doors.
And who is your client suing in your complaint?
City of Hoboken, the now outgoing mayor, or he's out already, Mayor Singh, the mayor of Jersey City, Steve Phillip, who ran for governor, and Steve Phillip's wife, Jacqueline Thompson. So the complaint alleges according to this guy, there's all of this happening, and because of all of that, my client didn't get the license. And you gave that license to those people. And then finally, I think what breaks the whistleblower is he's asked to do more quote unquote favors. And eventually he's like, I can't do this anymore. Of course, there's all kinds of allegations against him and his credibility and this, that, the other thing.
Yeah, shocker. You know.
Yeah, go figure. So the complaint is filed. The defense attorney files an immediate motion to dismiss the complaint.
For not filing the tort claim notice on time?
Yes,
Got it.
you're out of time. My argument in the law division is, how can I be out of time? As soon as I found out, I filed.
Discovery rule. I didn't discover the basis of a claim
Right.
until.
Their argument is and was, no, at the point where the mayor doesn't issue a letter, you should have filed the claim because the non-issuance of the letter gives rise to the Tort Claim Act. And I said, no,
it doesn't.
because I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that doesn't matter. You didn't get the letter. That's wrong, and that's a violation. I'm like, no, but there still needs to be a tort.
Yeah.
I can't go on this fishing expedition.
What's
in
funny
Hawaii.
is if you filed it when they should have,
I would-
should have filed, they would say it was a frivolous litigation filed
would have been
without
dismissed.
basis. Without basis.
And it would have been dismissed because I didn't have a basis.
Yeah. And you could get in trouble as a lawyer for
Right.
having filed it without a basis.
And the mayor could issue a letter at that time saying, oh, I'm just rejecting it. And we never find out why.
Yeah,
And then we
of
find
course.
out why 2 years later. And guess what? Now, potentially, I'm raised judicata. I'm out of the game.
Yeah.
So it goes before the appellate division. And in the appellate division, it is very you
What happened at the trial at the law division?
Oh, law division immediately approved it. They said, come on, get out of here. It was no
You
oral
won.
argument.
You won in the
Yeah,
law division. Got it.
There's no oral argument. And the judge in the law division did a great job saying, I'm not calling you in.
Do you remember the judge?
I don't, and
That's
I
all
should.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
But it's a written opinion.
Yeah.
Here's the case law. And it's basically to the defense attorney, guys, who are you kidding?
Yeah.
Get out of here. And they file an appeal. And I'm actually pretty shocked
Yeah.
that they file an appeal.
An interlocutory appeal?
Yeah.
And they took it up?
Yeah. And they took it up and they send me a letter saying, should we stay discovery? In the meantime, we file a FOIA request. My client files a FOIA request. We get back the Epstein files. It's white borders with black pages. There's nothing in here. Everything's redacted. I'm like, come on, what am I doing here, guys? So fine, we'll stay discovery and we'll do this appeal. Loved my appeal brief, filed it, saw their appeal brief, and I'm like, it's the same thing. I'm like, what makes you think this argument is going to fly there and whatever? I do my reply, and the entire time I'm scratching my head saying, I don't understand how you think I'm supposed to know what I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Where is that anywhere in the law? So we go in, and I'm sure you guys have argued before the appellate division. It's very rare you know how a case is going. I sat there and, I knew this was going my direction.
What always surprises me about that is, like Mark said, it was an interlocutory appeal, which is just for I don't mean to, like, you don't get an automatic appeal until the end of a case. So an interlocutory appeal is in the middle of a case, and they're rarely granted. But what always surprises me is the appellate division, like, granting an interlocutory appeal and then being at oral argument, like, why is you filing this appeal? Like, well, you guys granted it. So that always surprises me.
We kind of did it by consent because I was like, fine, you know what? I felt comfortable enough with our position.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll play along. We'll do, by consent. And the only question I get asked before the appellate division is, what's your claim? And I say tortious interference with a contract. And the one justice says, well, where's that pointed out? And I said, oh, this paragraph, this paragraph, this paragraph.
Yeah.
And their only issue is, well, get into the what the elements are. And I explain the elements. He goes, okay, well, what if you find out something else during discovery? I'm like, well, we're back to where I was a year ago when I first find out about this complaint. I don't know what I don't know. And the justices say, okay, so right now, your only claim is tortious interference with a contract. I said, yes.
Does that even require a tort claim
A
notice?
breach of contract does not.
Right.
But a
this
tortuous
is
interference
would.
yes.
tort claim.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, well, if you find out something else during the course of the discovery, I said, well, I'm going to I'll file a motion to amend the complaint. They said, okay, so as of right now, you're not bringing breach of contract. I said, I have no basis. My only basis, my smoking gun, is this guy's complaint and affidavit.
Yeah.
So that's all I can go on right now, justices. And based on that, that's what it is. And they all kind of shook their head and said, yeah, that's what it is. And the other two justices look at me and had justices like, any questions? And they're like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
So I sit back down. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm winning this case.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they grilled, my adversary again for a while. And we walk outside. And I look at him. I go, okay, you guys want to, at some point, talk to me about this? And, we can go from there. And they're like, no, let's wait and see what happens. So I'm like, okay. And sure enough, December 30th, we get the email. And I don't care how confident you are.
Oh, God,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Worst part of practicing
Yes,
law.
you always
that little PDF sitting there.
Yes, you click the link.
Yeah.
And then it becomes scroll.
Yeah, I know. That nervous.
You scroll to the end.
Yeah.
And it
Frantic.
becomes, okay, thank God. And then you go back to the beginning. And as I'm reading, I'm like, oh, this never gets bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just, we want counsel to better articulate the aspects of the tortious interference. So I filed a motion to amend. Basically, that says, this is what we want you to do to better outline your claims. So I filed a motion to amend my complaint. And that's where we are right now. And in my motion is we have to open up discovery.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. We won't go into it any more deeper because, it's still early and all
Very
that stuff.
early, but
maybe we'll do this again.
Oh, yeah.
And
revisit this one.
Yeah. What else?
No,
Mark?
always plenty to talk about with North Jersey politics. It seems
Yeah,
like.
here we are in Hudson County again. Go figure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny thing about the name of your podcast. So it's Jersey Justice. So the last TV show.
You're not going to talk about the Morgan & Morgan billboards on the turnpike,
No,
are you?
no,
Because
no.
this is trademarked. Actually, we got approved for the trademark for Jersey Justice Podcast and Jersey Justice, but there was a law firm that was using it on the turnpike.
So interesting thing about that, we pitched
And actually, the lawyer, the Morgan & Morgan lawyer, was a guest on this podcast. He wasn't a Morgan & Morgan lawyer at the time. he was at a different firm when he was on the podcast. And then after the podcast, a month later, he went to Morgan & Morgan. And shortly after that, Morgan & Morgan started a Jersey Justice campaign all throughout New Jersey.
Yeah.
We sent them a letter about it, and we're dealing with it. But it's a trademark name. And so I don't know.
Well, interestingly enough,
Yeah.
so I have these two producers, Todd Yasui, Jackie Pittman, and we pitch a show to a major production entity, and name of the show was Jersey Justice with Judge Vinny.
Oh, okay.
And this was, I want to say, a year ago. And it's getting traction, and they go, we like Jersey Justice. We really love Judge Vinny. So we were playing with the name Jersey Justice with Judge Vinny, and we're like, that's a lot of words. So it just became Jersey Justice. And I said to them, guys, I got to tell you, I don't think this is the most unique name. I have a feeling we're going to probably run into some trouble with this. Someone's definitely come up with it somewhere along the lines. And then ironically enough, I get this email, hey, you want to be on our podcast? Jersey Justice? I'm like, you know what? Hey, it was meant to be that I was going to be on something called Jersey Justice.
Funny.
That's cool. All right, Vincent, Mark, anything?
No, thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
It's a Saturday. Hopefully we'll get this posted pretty soon because we got this crazy snowstorm coming around. But I don't know, it'll probably be overblown like most weather events are in this area.
But let me tag on one last story. And you said something earlier, and it just dawned on me. And you talked about the Key and Peele sketch.
Okay, yeah.
Where the person was in the front row at the voice box.
Yeah.
One of the shows I did in Jersey at the Quarter Deck, which is a bar restaurant when you come over 72 going to LBI.
Yep, I know that one.
I'm doing a comedy show there, and there was a kid in the front row. I want to say he was about 15, 16 years old. He was in a wheelchair. And I go on stage, and I'm doing improv, and I do improv with this kid about his disability and about his wheelchair. And I talk about how in Jersey, you know, if you're going to have a wheelchair, you really need to have like louvers on the back and maybe some glow lights on the bottom, because that was a big thing back in the day. And the kid is laughing, the family's laughing. After the show, in the green room, family knocks on the door. Hey, we want to talk to the comedian. This could go one of a couple ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And they come in and they say,
no, keep going. It's funny.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, let's see where this is going to go. But I'm always going to have the conversation because I need to learn.
Yeah.
And they go, our son loves comedy. He loves going to comedy shows. Every time he's in a comedy show, because he's in a wheelchair, he's in the front row. And every time a comedian's up there doing improv, they've never talked to my son.
Yeah.
You're the first comedian that's ever done that.
Yeah, see, that's cool.
He really wants to meet. So I came out, and this kid was overjoyed with the fact that I had fun with him in a way.
You made him part of it.
Yeah. And to me, if you're looking at somebody and you say, ooh, I can't do that.
Right.
That's when we talk about how the show started, what's racism, what's thisism, what's that. If you look at that person and treat them different than everyone else in the room,
that's an ism.
You're the problem.
Yeah.
If you're going to treat everyone the same, and when people come into your office, much like people come into my office, all I care about is their case.
Yeah.
I don't care about their politics, anything else. I don't care what they do in their lifestyle, their pronouns. I don't care what they do in their houses, their whatever. And to me, that's the lesson. If anybody walks out of this podcast with anything, just treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't get into their lifestyle. Don't look up their Facebook page.
Yeah.
Don't look at what they wrote in a tweet once. Get to know them. Get back to doing this.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome wisdom, Vincent.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
was
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right.